Welcome to CounterCultureWISE, a Stormcat production, with your hosts Melanie Hope and James Monis. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts, our guests, and the dog, and do not necessarily reflect the views of any of our platforms, our advertisers, or any other dog.
As you listen today, please remember, we are so much more than a podcast. All of our stories we discuss are linked in our show notes on CounterCultureWISE.com. Visit there for commentary, guest photos and links, animations, and fun merchandise.
If you have a story idea or would like to be a guest on our show, contact us via our website. You can also follow us on Twitter, Gab, Instagram, Facebook, and all over social media, where we'll post memes, cat pics, and commentary that gets us booted off on a regular basis.
If you're watching our live show, hit like and join the chat. If you're listening dead, well, you can still hit like, share, subscribe, and comment, but please stop voting Democrat. And with the meows of the Macamow, we start another CounterCultureWISE show. Welcome, 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 everybody. We have so much to talk about, and we're going to have a little bit of fun at a few other people's expense.
Yay! Always my favorite thing to do.
I know, it's our favorite thing to do. I am your hostess with the mostest, Mrs. Melanie Hope. And here, right next to me, right here in CounterCultureWISE Studios, with the dog and the cat and everybody else who's joined us, and the AC that is making a lot of noise, is my husband, my co-host, my partner in crime, my best friend, and my sweet baboo, Mr. James Monis.
I can't imagine someone not understanding what erectile dysfunction is. I mean, it's not hard.
That was a little too loud. That echoed throughout the room. And the sad thing is, the minute you said erectile dysfunction, I immediately thought of a lizard that can't figure things out. Because, folks, that is how often I get to have the naughties. All right, so moving right along.
Oh, boy.
So much has happened this week.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been absolutely crazy.
Such a fun week. But I'm going to let Jim start off with a sad commentary.
It's
the end of an era.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the end of the band, but they haven't put out an album in 12 years.
As we know it.
So, anyway, we are talking about our friends. Well, they don't know us personally, but if they did know us personally, they'd be our friends.
They would love us.
They would adore us. Aerosmith. They retired.
And I love me some Steven Tyler.
Yeah, he's great.
Ever since I saw him on the Drew Carey show, I just love him. Or was it? No, it wasn't Drew Carey. No, that was Alice Cooper. It was the Manly Men. He was their next door.
You mean 2.5 Men?
Yeah, he was their next door neighbor. It was hilarious.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it was Alice Cooper that was Drew Carey's neighbor, and
I liked Alice Cooper.
You can see how
Alice
would get
Cooper was
Steven Tyler and Alice Cooper mixed up. I mean, totally normal.
Well, they were buddies, but anyway.
Yeah.
Aerosmith has announced their retirement from the road and scrapped the rescheduled dates of their Peace Out farewell tour.
Peace Out. That's a really good name for a farewell tour.
The band broke the news on Friday afternoon in an emotional statement. It was 1970 when a spark of inspiration became Aerosmith, they wrote.
Oh, it was 1970 when a spark of inspiration became me.
That's also true. Or, a couple, but too much Jack Daniels and whatever.
Knowing my mom.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Actually, my mom never drank hard alcohol. She was more of a beer person.
I knew I liked her. Anyway, thanks to you, our Blue Army, that spark caught flame and has been burning for over 5 decades. Some of you have been with us since the beginning, and all of you are the reason we made rock and roll history.
That's really sweet.
It has been the honor of our lives to have our music become part of yours, they continued. In every club, on every massive tour, and at moments grand and private, you've given us a place in the soundtrack of your lives.
True.
They then addressed the primary cause for the retirement from the road. Steven Tyler's vocal injury, which forced them to initially postpone their farewell tour after just 3 dates in September of 2023.
See, that's what happens when your lead singer has a vocal injury. You don't just go on being Journey.
You said the loud part out quiet.
I did.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Yes. You had John Anderson had asthma.
Prosthetics and continue playing like Def Leppard, that's one thing. But
yeah,
if you can't,
you
end the band.
Yeah.
That's how it works, Journey.
Yeah, they're past their prime. They become their own tribute act, but the thing is, people still want to see them. You saw them a few years ago.
No, the kid can sing. Don't get me wrong. The kid can sing.
Right.
And Sean can still play, but it's not Journey.
Right.
It's not Journey.
Anyways,
back to Aerosmith.
Yeah. They were scheduled to resume the tour on September 20th and stay on the road through late February. We've always wanted to blow your mind when performing. I would have loved to have seen them back in the day. And it's not like we didn't have opportunities. How many tours did they go on while we were alive anyway? As you know, Steven's voice is an instrument like no other. He has spent months tirelessly working on getting his voice.
I never understood how he was able to sing like that because it sounded like he was screaming.
Yeah. He has spent months tirelessly working on getting his voice to where it was before his injury.
Okay, can I ask a dumb question?
Yeah.
What was the injury? Did he get socked in the throat?
No, he just sang too hard, I guess, and just damaged his throat.
Sing too hard?
I don't know. He got a vocal injury. I don't know.
He's like a bajillion years old, right?
Well, he's in his 70s.
So doesn't Joe Biden have like a permanent vocal injury?
He has a permanent injury of many types. Anyway, we've seen him struggling despite having the best medical team by his side. Sadly, it is clear that a full recovery from his vocal injury is not possible. Well, we can look it up.
I'm looking it up.
You look it up while I'm reading.
I'm looking it up.
We have made a heartbreaking and difficult but necessary decision as a band of brothers to retire from the touring stage. We are grateful beyond words for everyone who is pumped to get on the road with us one last time, they concluded. Grateful to our expert crew, our incredible team, and the thousands of talented people who've made our historic runs possible. A final thank you to you, the best fans on planet Earth. Play our music loud, now and always. Dream on. You've made our dreams come true.
Oh.
The band also...
He fractured his larynx. Okay, that's not just an oopsie-doodle vocal injury. He fractured his frickin' larynx.
And does it say how it happened?
It just says it was during a performance in Elmont, New York. It caused bleeding as the vocal cords, which required a 30-day period silence, as recommended by his doctors. In addition to damage to his vocal cords, he had also fractured his larynx, so he did both. But it doesn't say how. And it says it's incurable. Led to the band's decision to retire. Okay, you keep reading, I'll keep looking.
Okay. Band also noted that tickets purchased through Ticketmaster will be automatically refunded. All of the refunds will be available at point of purchase. What's next? It's unclear what, if anything, Aerosmith has planned next. The band has not released an album since 2012's Music from Another Dimension, but guitarist Joe Perry recently told Rock Candy magazine that new music was definitely a possibility, but at the minute we're looking at the set for the tour and the songs we can play. He added, we're also remixing some of the early stuff and finding some interesting outtakes, so it'll be fun to look at that stuff. Perry
it just says the exact circumstances are not provided.
Okay.
That's all it says.
Anyhow, Perry also expressed his gratitude for every opportunity to play at this stage, comments that sound especially prescient in light of Aerosmith's retirement from the road. The issue with Steven shows you that freak things can happen, he said. You just don't know, so that's why every night that I go on, I play like it's the last show. So... I think they'll probably put out some...
how you sustain a fractured larynx is a direct impact to the front of the neck. They mostly occur during road traffic accidents, but they said this happened during a concert.
Yeah.
It says it's likely that the direct impact was related to his singing rather than a road traffic. How do you get... The exact mechanism is not explained, but it's clear that the trauma caused damage and is permanent.
Yeah.
There's something they're not telling us, because if they're being this vague,
I don't know. I
there's
don't want to
something
go
they're not
conspiracy
telling us.
theorist on these guys. They're going through hell right now.
And he's not a druggie, so it's
Not
not like,
anymore.
Not now.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, I mean, he has quite a voice, or had quite a voice. I'm
One
thinking,
of a kind.
I'm thinking they're eventually going to release new music, but it'll probably be like the Stones did with Tattoo You, and just use older songs and spruce them up a bit.
Well, I mean, even the Beatles are still releasing music, so
That's true. That's true.
Who knows what they're going to do next?
Yeah. Plus AI, you can do a lot of
Plus
things
AI.
with AI.
Oh no, that makes me sad.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I can't imagine AI and Aerosmith.
Aerosmith? Yeah, I don't know.
Tell me what it takes to let you go. Tell me how the pain is supposed to. I mean, come on.
I'm just saying, maybe not.
I don't know.
Let's move on to something happier and fun.
Happier and fun.
Yeah. One of my favorite celebrities in the world is Snoop.
Yo.
Old Snoop Dogg.
This is kind of fun because I remember reading about this relationship, but I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I showed her a picture and I said, here's Snoop with Martha. She said, Martha
who?
I
completely forgot about it.
Martha Washington. I have no idea.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Snoop's relationship with Martha Stewart, and I'm sorry, dude's hilarious.
He's funny.
You gotta
He's
hand
really
it to
funny.
him. You gotta hand it to him. All right, so let's look at this. I gotta make this big, make it pretty, make it so you can see it. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do some making it pretty. All right, Snoop Dogg leaves fans in stitches as he dons bizarre equestrian outfit to watch dressage with close pal Martha Stewart at Paris Olympics. Snoop the Stallion. Now, if there's going to be a stallion, it should be Snoop.
There's, of course, a play on Megan Thee Stallion, which we'll be talking about
talking about later. Sorry, there's a whole big giant thing that is blocking it, but Snoop Dogg arrived ready for action at Saturday's dressage. Can't read it. Accompanied Martha Stewart, and they were dressed in...
I love that photo. Oh my God.
He really looks good.
Yeah, he looks really good.
He looks so good. Although he could very easily join the Village People in that outfit.
That's also true.
Yeah.
He's just if it were blue and had a badge on the helmet, that'd be the end of it.
So he famously commentated on dressage at the Tokyo 2020. Oh, I didn't know that. So Snoop's into
he's into dressage, I guess.
I had no idea. When he referred to German writer Isabel Worth's mouth as a crip walking horse. That's hilarious. I have to go find that. That is now my life's mission, to go find Snoop commenting on dressage. Those things do not.
You wouldn't
remember that
think
old
they
Sesame
did.
Street? One of these things is not like the others. It's totally. That is where I'm at right now. Okay, so he was commentating on dressage. That's hilarious. Well, I mean, you think about that, and Trump at the wrestling, and Rush Limbaugh with NFL.
Right.
You don't put those two together, but yeah. The rapper and actor got to enjoy a fine performance from British writer Becky Moody. I mean, if you're going to be competing in dressage, you kind of have to have the name Becky.
Yeah, you do. Wait until you see the name of her horse.
Oh, no. Who clocked up a leading first-round score aboard her horse, Jaegerbomb.
Jaegerbomb.
Like, oh my God, Becky was riding Jaegerbomb is like totally a thing.
Those of you who are into Spike Jones will get the joke I just said. Jaegerbomb.
Yep, and there is Miss
Stewart.
They
adorable.
look so great. Oh my gosh. He's working for American channel NBC throughout the games and has enjoyed a busy time in Paris carrying the Olympic flame for a short leg. We saw that, the final relay, before popping up, at a number of events, including the gymnastics. Snoop Dogg, whose full name is Kelvin Cordozer Brodius Jr. Did I butcher that?
Yeah, majorly.
Okay.
Just Broadus.
Well, correct me.
Calvin Cortazar Broadus Jr.
Calvin Curtis Jr. said of his time as a torchbearer, something I'm going to be able to live with, be happy with, is to know that I was the face and the voice of peace for that one moment in time, said Calvin Curtis Jr. The presence of Snoop Dogg certainly created a buzz about the venue, with Moody's teammate Carl Hester saying news of his arrival had caused a stir in the stables. You mean he got horses excited? Wow, maybe what they say about... Okay, not going there. He said, I didn't get to meet him, but of course the talk of the stables was that he was here and everyone was looking for him on the camera. It's great. He's enjoying dressage, and he was here. But despite his passion for horses, Snoop Dogg has yet to ride one in his life. I'm still scared of horses. He's scared of them. Oh my, the 52-year-old admitted. Oh my, I had no idea. He's afraid of horses. How could you? All right, well, God bless him. I hope someday that we can talk the old Snoop Doggy onto a horse, because, well, depending on, as someone who grew up with horses, depending on the horse, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, that's another story about that.
And depending on the horse, there's a lot to be afraid of.
Yeah. I wouldn't have wanted to be on your horse. That sounds like a real piece of work.
Men. She did not like men.
Well, I don't like horses who don't like men. So
the thing with Charger is, I learned how to ride on her mama, Cheetah, and I learned how to ride on Charger. And what's really funny about Charger is that she was a completely different horse when there was a child on her back. Not even the same horse. But if you were an experienced rider, she was going to test that experience. That was going to be a thing. But the minute you put a kid, you could have somebody she didn't like on her back.
Right.
You could put she didn't like men, and she really didn't like beards and mustaches. You could put somebody she did not like on her back. But if you put a child in front of them, totally docile.
I've never known of a horse that didn't like men with beards or whatever.
Well, when she was young here in Texas, they tried to train her up to be a rodeo horse. Well, first of all, most rodeo horses aren't female.
Right.
They're male, and the reason that they buck so much is because you're twisting their balls.
Right,
okay?
right.
So in her case, they were smacking her with spurs and
just abusing her,
trying to get her to kick and rear.
Yeah.
And so she was literally abused by men with beards and mustaches, which is not common. It just happened that these jerks were the ones that had her while my mom was trying to retrieve her, because she had moved up to Washington State because of me, because I was a baby. And my father abandoned me, and she had nowhere to go, so she ended up in Washington State, and the poor horse got abused because of me. So I spent my whole life with a fuzzy sister who was born the same year as me, that I didn't find out till I was a little bit older that the reason why she was the way she was is because she was abused because of me. So yeah, live with that guilt, people. Good night. Okay, so speaking of abuse,
yeah,
how's
speaking
that
of
for
abuse,
a segue?
That's a great segue. So, the next president of the United States went to the National Association of Black Journalists convention.
Yeah.
Once again, just like when he went to the Libertarian Party to talk to them, he walked into a lion's den of sorts.
And you know what? You got to hand it to him. He's got the cojones to do it.
Yeah. True that.
So I downloaded the video. I don't think we can watch the whole thing because it's pretty long. But it is like a comedy tour. This thing is hilarious.
And if you listen very closely, the way the press is reporting it is that he faced a hostile
violence and gas.
And there were moments, but
for the most part,
a lot of the times they were cheering him.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to play it. Of course, on ScrewTube, they're going to totally take it down.
Yeah,
So follow us over on Rumble and BitChute and Locals and all the places. But we're going to play it and just comment on it as we go along because it is really freaking hilarious. I mean, it's funny. So here we go.
We have a lot to get to, and we do not want to waste any time. So let's bring out the former president of the United States, the Republican nominee for president, former President Donald Trump.
Hibbity, hibbity, hibbity.
I'm already having issues with we don't want to waste any time because they wasted a ton of time.
Yeah, they did. They couldn't get their
Mr. President, we
electronics
so
right.
appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing...
Okay. All right. So, just right out of the gate. I have an article on this because I have been going all over the internet trying to figure out what the heck happened here because I'm hearing on one side that they wasted a whole lot of his time because they couldn't get their crap together with the audio, which you hear throughout the entire interview.
Right. That's my assumption of what went wrong.
But now you've got Axios and a few places saying that he stalled them because he didn't want a fact check. So I'm really confused, and I'm going to read this to you. Article, of course, archived and available at CounterCultureWISE.com. Because it actually negates itself in its own article, and I don't know who to believe right now. So, they're saying, moments before, and you know what's really funny?
What's funny?
Have you ever once seen them say former President Obama? Former President Clinton?
I don't think about it.
They don't.
But they're former presidents.
No,
now, when you
President
address,
Obama,
if you are ever lucky enough to meet one of these gentlemen, you address them as Mr. President.
But they don't. But they don't. And Trump is the only one that they do that with. Just be out there. So
I'm going to have
moments before former President Trump took the stage at the National Association of Black Journalists. And one of my favorite jokes is when somebody told him he was going to the NABJ, he didn't realize it was going to be black journalists until he got there, and he was a little miffed because when he heard BJ, he was all in. That's more of a Clinton joke, but it's still funny. Anyways,
I did not
in Chicago,
have sex with that woman. What?
They say that he held up the whole thing because he didn't want to be fact-checked in real time. Trump's team said, well, can you not fact-check? He's not going to take the stage if you fact-checked. Okay, so this is the president of the NABJ, Ken Lemon, of course he's named Lemon, saying this, but then they go on to say that he was delayed because of audio problems. Lemon says there were audio problems, but they were resolved very quickly, and you will clearly see on the video they were not resolved at all. The biggest problem was his threat to not take the stage when he had agreed to go on. He did not want to be fact-checked, but we could not let him on the stage without fact-checking, even though right at the beginning she goes into this long diatribe about live fact-checking and the hashtag and yardy-yardy. Lemon says, I was prepared to go on stage to craft a statement saying he decided not to go on stage because of fact-checking. We couldn't compromise that. And as he was preparing the statement, Trump just randomly walked on stage. Now, we just watched what happened. There was an introduction.
She introduced him. He walked on stage. They shook hands and sat down.
Yeah, he didn't just randomly walk on stage. So I'm totally confused by this report because it literally... negates itself.
I think there's somebody at the end at the National Association of Black Journalists who really didn't want him there, and they're making up stories to make.
There's plenty, this Lemon character contradicts his own self. Okay,
that doesn't surprise me.
The fact checking was publicized before the event, so Trump was more than aware of that before he showed up. So trying to say that he's like, at the last second saying don't do it is BS. Because he knew about it before he even agreed to do it. And then they go on to say, he's so controversial, I can't believe they gave him a platform. He was cheered. There were people waiting in line around the building to get into the event.
And you'll see closer to the end when he leaves,
right,
the audience is cheering for him.
And what's real, and I was tasked to find a video that actually showed the ending because they all cut it off. And I actually found the full video where when he's saying goodbye and everything, they played really loud music at the end, which we'll probably have to edit. But the crowd, a significant portion of them are actually cheering and clapping. So you'll see that. All right, so let's continue.
The elephant in the room, sir.
Okay. Hello. How are you? Hi. Nope.
A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States.
Oh my God. She's like supposedly an educated black woman. And yet she talks like a
Because she
girl.
went to journalism school. That's what they teach you to talk these days.
Because why are we talking like this? I hate blue pantsuit lady. I don't even know who she is. She's so annoying.
She's
just so combative.
But don't worry, you don't take our word for it. Listen to Donald in a minute here.
Her with her fake straight hair. As fake as Kamala.
Which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from.
No.
2 of them, and both of them are not from the U.S., and both of them despise the country. But nice try, honey.
You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys.
No, he's used them to describe district attorneys. Period.
Right.
Now, you're the racist who sees them as black.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions
No,
that
he
they
calls
ask
journalists
are,
in
quote, stupid
general
and
losers.
racist.
He has called out stupid and racist questions from journalists.
Yeah.
The fact that you only see them as black kind of says more about you than him.
Yeah.
You've had dinner with a white supremacist.
He did not know that gentleman was known as a white supremacist. He didn't even know who the guy was. He was brought as the guest of another person, and nobody reports on that.
What was the guy's name? I remember hearing.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
It's not important.
Because I'm
so
not into
important.
that. But he had no idea who the guy was, had never met him before. He was brought as a guest of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of not a white supremacist to begin with, if I recall. But they're going to run with it.
Your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all,
I would have said, well, first of all, 90% of what you just said wasn't true. But let's see what he does.
think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question.
Listen to the audience.
Listen to the audience.
How are you?
Hello, how are
Are
you?
you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network.
He's doing Trump.
And
Trump doing Trump.
I think it's
And they're saying
disgraceful
woo
that
and laughing and
I came
clapping.
here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of
Clapping,
this country.
clapping. I can hear it.
Including employment, including
Down in front.
opportunity zones with Senator Tim.
This guy who keeps popping up reminds me of the gumball machine in Mystery Science Theater. Every time his head pops up, I think of the gumball machine. Am I
In
alone?
the not too distant future.
Every time
Never
his head
thought of
pops
it
up.
before, but
But,
thank you.
okay,
Now I
you're
can't
gonna-
unsee
now
that.
You can't unsee
I
it.
cannot unsee that.
God of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black
Ever.
workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke.
Clapping.
And I saved them,
Yep.
and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know
It was.
exactly why you would do something.
She's already
like
trying
that.
to
And let me
interrupt
go
him.
a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala.
Okay, so there is an interview with this Lemon character,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of wondering if maybe he's being misquoted in this Axios report, because he says on video, and I should have downloaded it, but I didn't, that they always invite all of the candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And he would have preferred to have gotten an answer from 3. He only got an answer from 1.
Right. Because Kennedy or Harris could have been there.
Yeah. And
You know.
Harris chose not to. And I don't know what's going on with Kennedy because they're just acting like he's not.
They're acting like he's not legit.
Yeah.
He's completely legit.
I wouldn't vote for him, but he's completely legit, and I'm glad he finally has.
He got the coverage he needed from Secret Service.
Chuck talks about
it took Donald darn near getting killed.
Yeah, and he should have had it all along. And he's one of the only candidates since the Kennedy assassination who has not had it.
And his dad and his uncle were both assassinated.
Right.
And you don't think that it warrants it? You'd rather concentrate on I'll say it, DEI hires than doing your job.
Yeah.
And getting the people where they are needed. If you
have not seen our Holy Crap segment, do please head over.
Yes, please.
I'm rather proud of that particular one.
It was one of our better ones. We have some good ones and some not so good ones, but
going to be here.
Yeah.
It turned out my opponent
right
my opponent is not here.
You
invited me under false pretenses.
You can't do it with Zoom. Well,
and you're not allowed to Zoom, and that's the way Kamala's going to do it.
And she's not coming.
And she's going to read a script. You know she's going to read a script. She's not allowed to talk on her own.
They couldn't get their equipment working or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love
think
you
it's
can
a
answer
very
the
nasty.
So she's interrupting him as he's basically exposing all the BS that they fed him because she doesn't want him to let folks know the BS he had to go through just to get there so she could ask her nasty claws out question before even greeting him.
The rhetoric and why
Yes, your cat meow thing is appropriate here.
Thank you. We've had the conversation. I'm really very reluctant to pull it out.
Well, you should be because you pull it out when it doesn't fit, but it does fit now. So knock yourself out.
Yay, it fits. I'm done.
You didn't do it. Okay. Happy?
No, because it didn't affect Frankie at all.
Yeah, it used to affect Max. Frankie, well, he's sound asleep.
That's true. I'll leave him alone.
Yeah, don't mess with him.
I'm not going to disturb him. He'll be chewing on my leg if I...
Yeah, narm.
I have answered the question. I have been the best president
you did answer the
for
question.
the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Clapping.
Who signed the Voting Rights Act.
Clapping.
Start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner. I think it's a disgrace.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own...
Let me just cover up the fact that I am totally bad at my job and
own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire.
Okay. The way she introduced the question literally proved the point.
That's true, but that went beyond her because she's a modern journalism scholar.
And I'm a little miffed at Trump here because he doesn't answer this correctly. Okay.
Well,
he does not
he's on
answer
the spot.
this
He doesn't.
Well, he's on the
fair.
spot, but he should be better. Okay.
Yeah.
Be better, Trump. See, I'm so sick of being called a sycophant or a cultist or whatever because I can't.
I bow to one God, and that's
I
Jesus
bow to one
Christ.
God. It's Jesus Christ, Lord or Savior, the God. Okay.
Yeah.
I do not bow
That's
to
it.
this man. I never will. And I will never fully agree with him. There's a lot of things he does that I don't like, but this is freaking hilarious. How he should have answered is, yes, she is a DEI hire. Biden bragged about putting her in that position because
maybe we should listen to his
of
answer.
her race, because of her gender. The same with the I don't know what a woman is broad on the Supreme Court. She is a DEI hire, number one. Number two, aren't you the guys telling us the DEI is amazing, fantastic, wonderful, and should be continued? So to say somebody is a DEI hire should, in your minds,
Be a compliment.
be a compliment.
I never thought of it that way before.
So why are you acting like it's not?
Huh.
Is that acceptable language to you?
Is that acceptable language to you? So what you're saying is DEI is absolute garbage, and somebody who is put in their position because they are a DEI hire shouldn't be there. I don't have a beard to scratch, but you get the...
Will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
No!
No.
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
That is not a definition, sweetheart.
That's what.
That is what the letters stand for. A definition would be what those letters mean in context. But she's not smart enough to figure this out.
Modern
She does
journalism.
this
She probably went to the
multiple
same school that Don Lemon went to.
Multiple times. She does, worst journalist of the year, Don Lemon. Worst journalist of the year.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that
Go
what
ahead.
your definition?
Yeah.
Give
That
me-
is
Give me
literally
a
the
definition
words.
then. Would you give me a definition?
That is literally the words. I took journalism in college,
Yes.
and one of the things we had to do
Mm-hmm.
was write and speak using correct English grammar. That is the definition of the word. What?
Definition.
Yeah.
Turf?
Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you have
very
to
direct
define
question.
it. Define the.
Yeah, how is he supposed to speak to it if she can't even define it? She doesn't know. That's the thing. She doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
Define it for me if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir.
You did not define it, you dumb blue pantsuit wearing racist. Not gonna swear.
Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Yes, 100%. That is what Biden said. That's what he said. The reason she's there is because she's an Indian and a woman. He said that.
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So,
See, I don't like this at all. He's
I've known
waffling.
her a long time indirectly. not
Yeah, he's
directly,
waffling. I don't like this part at all.
And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was
There's that.
only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't
There's
know she
that.
was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she
And there's
wants to be
video
known as
after
black.
video after video
So
proving
I don't know,
it.
Is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black
I
woman.
respect
She has
either
a black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't. Because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn.
That's my favorite quote of the whole night. I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't. She obviously doesn't.
Jesus.
Yeah, you can go back as far as you want to go. It was from wearing a sari to you're talking about how her mother was a big influence on her to interview after interview after interview of her being Indian. There are videos, there are articles, and to this day, even just yesterday, you know, her village in India is so proud of her, blah, blah, blah. She's been an Indian woman until you ain't black if you don't vote for her and Biden.
Right.
And then
Right.
all of a sudden she's listening to Snoop Dogg, who didn't have an album out when she was in
It's too young.
college. And Tupac, who wasn't
A
yet
thing
a
at that
thing
point.
when she was in college. And all of a sudden she's taking on a black accent, kind of like a AOC
Hillary, yeah,
and
and
Hillary. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was never black. She was Indian. Now, magically, she's black, and he has a point.
And she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think,
that
I think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you
He's
believe
so
that Vice
right.
President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire?
Yes!
As some
I really
Republicans
don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know.
Yes,
Could be,
yes, she
could be. There are
is,
some
and bragged
people
about it.
Plenty. I know this.
Why
lady
is he
right over
waffling?
there, Harris is a fantastic person who just interviewed me at length, and we had a great interview, I think.
Okay, I do like that he pointed out that the other woman was nice to him.
And
As
kind of
she is
shifting
throughout
it
the- yeah.
away from dingbat
as
here.
she is throughout the entire interview.
Yeah.
Again, I heard you get
Respectful, intelligent, asks tough questions, but does it in a respectful manner.
Mhm.
That's what you're supposed to do, not this blue
Drivel,
pantsuited,
yeah.
claws out witch who just wants to get him.
very good ratings on that.
Well, you
interview.
told me it was the longest one of your life, so we had a good discussion. Look, I want to talk about why you're here today. I mean, it is not lost on us how divided we are as a country. And as you were coming today, we really got to see that we are divided along the lines of race, along the lines of gender. And there is this question of, in this moment where we are, why come here? What is your message today?
See, that is a good question.
Yeah. And I mean, and by the way, it's the same question the first person asked, only respectful and
Only-
open-ended.
Okay, you're a total dick, and why are you here? And I don't want you here. And you've said all these things that aren't true. That You didn't actually say. And you know,
Yeah,
instead
exactly.
she's like, okay, now I like his answer,
Okay, I haven't heard her.
but
I haven't
don't
heard the answer yet.
like his answer.
Okay,
Because his answer should have started with the fact that the reason we are so divided by race and gender is because that is what Democrats want.
okay.
That is what they
So-
want.
What did he actually
Well,
say?
let's see.
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it. But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming.
Okay, see, that's
That was funny.
funny.
They're black. Well, duh.
And they laughed. But on Twitter,
Uh-huh.
they're like, oh, he's so stupid. He comes to in black and he made... I was like, dude,
It's a joke,
it
obviously.
was a joke.
Obviously
This
a joke.
entire thing was a comedy tour. It was funny, and they laughed.
From the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs.
They're still laughing. You can still hear chuckles.
You had the best.
What exactly is a black job?
What's a black job?
God, she's a witch.
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr.
they're
President,
taking the employment away from black people. They're coming
Which
in,
is
and
true.
they're coming in, they're invading.
I mean, there was that whole study with Tyson Chicken
Mhm.
when they got invaded and all of the illegals were deported.
Right.
They had to hire locals.
Right.
Almost all of them were black.
Mm-hmm.
And they were interviewing these guys and like, yeah, I've been looking for a job for X number of years, whatever, and I'm just happy to have a job, blah, blah, blah. Wasn't
Right.
able to get a job. The
Right.
reason is because if you hire somebody who's legal, you have to pay unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
We're familiar with that.
No comment from the peanut gallery over here right now. No.
You have to, pay them a proper wage. You have to pay
Right.
Social Security.
There's a lot
and
more.
Medicaid
There's a lot
and
more
all of that.
legalistic and
Right.
financial things you have
And
to
if you just
consider.
hire some illegal guy,
They're just going to be happy to get
doesn't
any
even-
money at all.
who stole a social number, or
Mhm.
just under the table,
Right.
you don't have to do any of that.
Right.
And, so
And they
all
were
of a
lucky to
sudden-
be. Tyson was lucky to be left that plant to be
Right.
open.
Exactly. And so now all of a sudden, all of these people who've been looking for jobs for a while have jobs. Those
Productive jobs.
are- and when he said black jobs, he's
That's what he was
in
talking about.
a black conference. Of course, he's gonna talk about black people. I mean, duh. Can you
Oh, God.
imagine
Oh,
that
God.
scene
I'm dying.
where Harrison Ford falls into a pit and says, "Snakes, why does it have to be snakes?"
Right.
And one of the snakes is like, "Oh, what do you mean? Why does it have to be snakes?" I mean, that's how I felt with her.
Are you telling me you're comparing those women to snakes?
The blue pantsuit woman, yes.
There you go. Anyway.
we have baby birds outside of our window because I put a bird bath on top of the AC, and they are just precious. So,
They are sweet.
pardon my ADD squirrel or bird.
Bird.
They're amazing.
Bird.
I'm so blessed that they trust. I mean, she's looking right at me,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a cardinal, so she's got a bright orange beak and bright orange and red pin feathers, but the rest of her is gray because she's a cardinal.
Beautiful, beautiful bird.
But we get the boys too, but the girls are the ones that have the guts, which, yeah, I know, it sounds like we're off topic, but if you think about it, the girls are the ones that have the guts. This girl has guts. It's just not the right kind.
It's an invasion of millions of people, probably 15, 16, 17 million people. I have a feeling it's much more than that. And everybody's been seeing what's happening.
It's in the 20s.
The first group of people, the black
Easily.
population, is affected most by that. And Kamala is allowing it to happen. She's the border czar. She's the worst border czar in the history of the world.
Oh, no. You must fall to the gaslighting. And she never was the border czar. You know that, right? So even though
I know
we
that now
reported it
because I was instructed and had heard videos
many,
and actually
many
seen
times.
Joseph Robinette Ding Dong pronounce her as border
Oh,
czar.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
And-
I do recall,
the
but
very
I used to
same-
recall that, but I've been brainwashed, and ever since
These are
I've
not
seen the
border
light,
czars you're looking for. Yeah.
I've seen the light, and that is no longer the
You've
case.
seen the light from the little stick that
There's never been a border czar like this. She's never even essentially been. She said she was there once, but not the right part of the border.
yeah, and she wasn't.
No.
Because, yeah.
So she was a border czar. She's done a horrible job. These people are coming into our country and they're taking black jobs and Hispanic jobs. And frankly, they're taking union jobs. Unions are being very badly affected
And he's right. He's 100% right. This is true.
by
Yeah.
all of the millions of people that are pouring into our country. And one thing, as we
On the off chance that they actually even bother to work, since they can just hang out in luxury hotels and get free food and bitch about it, they'll actually have riots because they don't feel the food is enough or is up to par.
I've got an
with
idea.
what they
Implode the
expect.
hotel. Anyway,
No.
implode it. That's all. We're
Well,
good.
it's not fair to the hotels because they're actually being taken over by the
Yeah.
mayors.
Yeah.
It's not fair to them.
Mhm.
I wish I lived in a country where a private business could say to the government, no. Oh, wait, I do. Huh. I wonder why they're not doing that. Oh, because the government has way overstepped its bounds.
Yeah.
We need to get back to the government that we're supposed to have. But we continue.
discussed, many of these people are coming in from mental institutions, from prisons, from jails.
So they fact checked him on this
Mm-hmm.
and said, oh, that's not true. It's true. And
What are they basing their saying it's not true on?
well,
Or are they just being
so here's how they do it.
so-called fact checkers?
Right. So here's how they do it.
Okay.
Say Axios or the Wall Street Journal or
Mm-hmm.
usually it's the New York Times.
Mm-hmm.
They will put out an opinion piece
Mm-hmm.
saying, oh, Trump lied about this thing. And then the Wall Street Journal will say, oh, Trump lied about this thing and here's proof.
And they'll use the
And
opinion
then
piece.
Axios will say, oh, Trump lied about this thing. Here's double proof. And then the next, and then the next, and then the next. So you get all the way back to the original thing. It's an opinion piece.
Right.
But you go back to where he got his news, and it's Border Patrol.
Yeah. The actual people
it's
on
the
the front lines doing
FBI.
the work. Right.
Yeah, so you have to go all the way back to the original source. And then what happens on at least on Twitter is, well, you can show me the facts, but I know what the truth is.
You know what they really mean is this.
This is from Border Patrol.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's not what I heard on The View.
Yeah, if they say that, you can automatically disqualify them from any
yeah.
mental ability
So
at
what
all.
he is saying is 100% absolutely, verifiably true. We will provide links on our website.
Indeed, we will.
The gang members in other countries are setting loose their prisoners. They're opening up their prisons and they're
Okay, now how they fact-checked and disqualified this statement
Mm-hmm.
is they said specifically Venezuela. Did you hear him say Venezuela?
All I heard was from other countries.
Other
I
countries.
didn't. I don't think he even mentioned South America specifically.
And what
Maybe
they
he did. I don't know, to
is-
be fair.
The fact check is Trump says Venezuela is releasing its prisoners. And that's the fact check. That's the fact check.
mental institutions, and they're taking their bad people, drug dealers, gang members, and they're bringing them into the United States. And by the way, their crime rate is going down, and our crime rate is going to be
Trump said Venezuela's crime rate is going down because they're releasing prisoners. Did you hear the word Venezuela?
Still haven't heard the word Venezuela.
That was the fact check.
Okay.
And that is literally every fact check I could find. I went on every website I could find, and all the fact checks said, Trump said Venezuela, ...
Trump didn't say Venezuela anything
Mm-mm.
disaster.
Mr. President,
so far.
I want to get into how you address some of the issues with Black communities. And I say that plural because we live in communities of color that are different. We're not all the same. We don't vote the same. We don't think the same.
True.
It's not
Probably the only Black person in history who's admitted that.
monolithic. So as you come here today, I want to talk about something that bursts. And this is the weight of the inflation on this country right now.
Yes.
The nonprofit Money Management International recently released data from its mid-year analysis that we have found a 52% rise in people who are seeking counseling for being in credit debt. They're paying for food that is sky high on their credit cards, and now they can't pay that off. The credit counseling nonprofit MMI, as I said, is saying now that they've seen surges that they haven't seen since we were in a pandemic of people in financial trouble. Much of that falls on the shoulders of single moms, single Black moms, when you look statistically. Yeah. How do you turn it around? What's your plan for the Black community when it comes to money?
Ooh, how good of a question was that?
That was an intelligent, well-spoken, and great question because it gives him a chance to actually talk about what he will do.
Policy. Wow, we're allowed to talk about that? Okay.
Yeah, policy.
Notice how there was no blame.
Right.
Because we know exactly who to blame for this.
Right.
But notice how she didn't do that.
Right, which is good. That's good journalism. I mean, if anybody's going to criticize Biden and Miss Harris, it should be the Donald.
Hello.
But
it should be blacks in general because they've been screwed by this administration.
Time. I mean, white folks have been too, but I think that I do think the minority communities have been hurt the worst.
No, I mean, we as white folks have been absolutely bent over and plowed in the kitchen, but minorities 10 times as
10
much.
Times worse.
And
very few people are ahead. Let's put it that way, where they were 4 years ago.
The only people that are ahead are Nancy Pelosi and Biden.
Well, yeah, those are the power brokers.
And Kamala and all the other white
power
people.
Brokers,
and yes, I put Kamala in the
donor
white people
class,
domain.
right.
Yeah. Good question.
Let's see what he has to
how
say.
He answers it.
Oh, first of all, it's very hard to hear you for whatever reason because of the fact that they have bad equipment.
Okay, so getting back to the Axios report, were they delayed because he was being a jerk about fact-checking, or were they delayed because their equipment sucks donkey water?
He knew coming into it that there was going to be live fact-checkers. They're there every time. Every time the president or any presidential candidate these days makes an appearance.
Except Biden and Kamala. There's no fact-checkers for them.
They're blameless and shameless.
There's no fact-checkers for them.
But any Republican going in, I'll say the word, is going to have a fact-checker. They go in knowing that. It's nothing new.
If we were to have a Black female Republican running for office, what would they do with themselves?
Well, I know what happened. I can't talk about Black women, but I know when a very wonderful human being,
who I would have voted for.
I would have voted for because he has a heart the size of Massachusetts and a brain to match. Ben Carson.
He can fix brains to match.
Yeah. So
they called him Uncle Tom.
Called him, they disparaged him mercilessly.
They were awful to him.
And he was a man of God. He's a good, decent human being.
Yes. Boring as
hell. And I could not care less that he's Black.
Boring as hell.
But
brilliant. And I would have voted for him in a heartbeat, and a lot of us would.
Yeah.
Most of us, he would have won.
Yeah.
As far as Republicans are concerned.
Yeah.
I'm not a Republican, but he would have won.
We have to put ourselves in that frame, though, because it's just...
Because the other side is evil.
The other side is just bad. What did that article call them? The gang of prostitutes or something like that? The GOP gang of prostitutes? I don't know what it is.
Oh. That's actually really poignant.
Yeah.
That fits.
Well.
Yeah.
I guess, this woman was unable to get the right equipment. But it's very hard for me to hear you, but I can hear every other word. It's very difficult, actually. But so I don't know if they can fix it or do something with it, but I'll do the best I can with it. The inflation...
I've been in this situation,
mm-hmm.
and I basically addressed it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hear you. I'm going to do the best I can.
Yeah. I think I was there for that.
Except I'm such a witch, and I'll put myself in this category, that I signed it in ASL at the same time. So
Nice.
if they had been able to let me know what was going on, they could have. I'm just saying, that's how mean I am.
Is absolutely destroying our middle class, our working class.
And one of the jokes is he has accordion hands. I
Mhm.
agree. He has accordion.
Yeah. Well, he does the
is-
thing with his hands, and even if
But
I'm
he's
doing
not
if I'm
a
doing
trained public speaker. He's not a politician. That's something that a trained public speaker / politician would have been taught.
right. I mean, he's no slouch in the public speaking department.
No. He's
Far
the
from
only,
it,
He's
but-
the only candidate we have who can actually speak without a teleprompter.
Right.
Because,
He can go
Camel-
off script and
yeah, Kamala and Biden,
yeah.
they go off script and it's ugly. But yeah, the accordion hand thing is a little distracting, but
Yeah,
he's forgiven just because he hasn't been trained to do this.
As virtually every class. Inflation is a disaster in our country. Inflation is a country buster. It breaks every country.
I'm sorry. He is making a really good point, but all I'm hearing is Mama's got a squeeze box. Daddy never sleeps.
I don't even think about the accordion hands, and now I'm
Now
just
you
looking at
can't-
his hands.
now
I'm
you
looking at his
can't not
face.
see it.
I'm not looking at anything else.
And
just
the,
his hands.
the sad thing is he's making a really good point.
We had, in my opinion,
You can go back a little bit because he is making a good point.
In a pandemic of people in financial trouble. Much of that falls on the shoulders of single moms, single black moms.
True.
When you look statistically, how do you turn it around? What's your plan for the black community when it comes to
Of course, it wouldn't fall on their shoulders if, the baby daddies would stick around. Ooh, I'm just saying.
money?
Yeah.
so first of all, it's very hard to hear you for whatever reason because of the fact that they have bad equipment. Because I guess, this woman was unable to get the right equipment. But it's very hard.
Did that sound like booing to you or laughter?
Laughing.
Yeah.
Because
So-
they're onto the game. They know what's going on. They're-
Yeah.
You
for
know.
me to hear you, but I can hear every other word. It's very difficult, actually.
And
But-
I do appreciate that the other two ladies admit that
Mhm.
they're having the same problem because Blue Pantsuit Lady ain't gonna give nothing.
No.
She ain't gonna give nothing.
So I don't know if they can fix
Ooh,
it.
look at me being all Kamala and talking ghetto. She ain't gonna get nothing, honey. She ain't gonna
Never
get
going to get it. Never
ain't
going to get it.
happen, I'll tell
Never
you
going to get it.
what.
Never going to get it. Let's
We're
move
gonna do
on.
something with it, but I'll
I
do
could
the
be a
best I can
politician.
with it. The inflation is absolutely destroying our middle class, our working class, virtually every class. Inflation
Yep.
is a disaster
Yep.
in our country. Inflation is a country buster. It breaks every country. And we had, in my opinion, the worst inflation we've had. They say it's 58 years, but I think it's much more than that. It's been devastating. And if you just take a look at
58
a lot
is
of things
enough.
that
That's
don't
longer
improve,
than we've
like
been
interest
alive.
rates. Interest rates went from 2.4% to 10%, and you can't get the money. People can't buy houses. They no longer have the American dream. Young people, young black people, they don't have the American dream anymore. They can't buy a house. They can't borrow the money because of the cost of the money.
It's true, and we're not young and we can't. I mean, he's not lying.
They
That's
can't
true.
buy it because of the cost of housing, because of the cost to build it, because of inflation. Inflation is a disaster, and it's destroying our country, and it's destroying the black community probably as much or
So what do
more
you do?
than any
What's your plan?
Good question.
Yeah.
I agree with her for interrupting. What do you do? What's your plan?
You know what we have to do? We have to bring down the cost of energy, and that's going to bring down the cost of inflation. This was all started with a bad energy policy by Joe Biden.
And he had an answer. Boom.
Yeah.
He didn't even have to think about it.
By the way, just if I might, I was running against a man named Biden. You probably saw that. And he was losing very badly in the polls, and then he had a rather bad debate. I would say it was a bad debate. I would say it was one of the worst debates in history. And his
True.
poll numbers crashed. And instead of saying, let's keep going, and maybe something happens the other way, they said, oh, we're going to replace him. Let's just replace him. That's like you're in a fight, a prize fighter's in a fight. He's not doing what you say, let's bring in another fighter. So our whole campaign was steered toward him. And now we have to steer it toward him. But ultimately it's the same because they have bad policy. They have policies of open borders.
So I like the 2 points that he made there.
Mhm.
One, you just replace the dude.
Right. There was no primary for the Dems, so sorry, not sorry. you
Yeah.
know.
You just replaced him. Like, he's nothing. He's garbage. Toss him
Yeah.
aside. Don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to feel sorry for him because he is
I
so
don't feel
corrupt.
sorry for him one little tiny bit.
But that's literally how they treated him. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, he's brain dead. Oh, silly me. You've noticed.
Finally.
Boot.
As you say, gasoline in cars. They want to get rid of oil. They want to get rid of efficient heating.
Mr. President.
Environmentally, what they're doing is killing our country. They're absolutely destroying our country. But the inflation is the thing that's hurting the black worker, the black population, and every other population.
He's right.
He's not wrong at all.
And they keep trying to interrupt him, and I think it's because he's right.
Yeah. I think that irritates them a little.
Within our country. Inflation is the worst it's been, I think, in over 100 years.
Now,
That
they
might
fact check him on that.
sounds like an exaggeration to me, to be honest.
But how do you fact check somebody who says, I think in? He says, I think in 100 years.
Okay.
So,
What did their fact checkers have to say about it?
I haven't looked it up, but
Okay.
I'm sure they're like, I mean, they're trying to say inflation was worse when he was in office, but it wasn't.
It
because
wasn't.
I was alive when he was in office, and
I remember being alive
I
or
could
feeling
buy
that way
a
most of the
dozen
time.
eggs on my salary, and now I can't.
It was
So-
you could find a dozen eggs for less than $1 in
Yeah.
a couple of places.
Yep. Mhm.
And they came up at about $1.50 in the more expensive end if you just got regular, like not organic or.
I
you know,
could go to my
food-
neighbor's house and buy a
Well,
dozen
there's
eggs
that
for
too.
a $1, and now I can't get them for under $5.
Right.
And in the store, if they're under $2, that's a good day.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's still
Even
only $2.
the
but,
cheap eggs that we get
if they
every
were
week.
a
Yeah.
$1 before, and now they're $2. That's 100% inflation, honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's 100%, and that's just eggs.
Right.
And it was worse there for a while. I remember it was like 5 something.
Oh yeah, it was $5, and it was for the like not even the cheap store brand
Yeah.
stuff was $4. It was crazy.
Yeah.
They'll fact check it. They'll say it's only 58. Whatever it
You
may
just
be.
nailed
They don't
it.
add all the numbers. They don't add the really
Okay.
bad numbers.
But did you not hear the laughter?
Mm-hmm.
They laughed. They're
Yeah.
with him.
And you can check that too. But inflation, Harris, is absolutely destroying this country and the people in our country. Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
President, can I ask you another question
Yes,
that is
and-
also impacting Black
And that's very clear in there.
So he acknowledged that he could hear her,
Mm-hmm.
and he was kind about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
I'm sorry?
It's very clear. I hear you.
Okay. So Sonia Massey, someone from Illinois, an unarmed Black woman, was shot the other day in her home.
Okay, now I'll be honest. I had to look this up. I had not heard this story.
Okay.
And I don't think he's familiar with it either.
Okay.
And when he said the water thing, that sounds dismissive, but it's only because he probably was not familiar with it.
Okay. I'm not familiar with the story either.
Well, what's
so.
funny is I had to look it up
Mm-hmm.
by saying black shooting water. And that's how it came up. So I'm going to give you the gist. And
Okay.
this is a tragic, horrible story.
Okay.
And I'm 100% on the side of the family on this one.
Okay.
Okay, so this woman who is admittedly, I think they said she was, I can't remember exactly the words, but she's not well in the head.
Okay.
We're just going to put that out there. So she has a propensity to call the cops because she hears things.
Mm-hmm.
But she hears things inside and outside of her head. I'm just
Right.
putting that out there. She called the cops because she thought she heard a prowler.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they made this into a race thing, so I'm going to put it in their terms, but I honestly don't think this was a race thing,
Mm-hmm.
but the cops were dicks. And I'm just going to put that out there. The cops were absolute dicks. And I'm sorry, that's a crude term, but I cannot think of another term that suits them. Okay? So first of all, they're big white guys with lots of tattoos, which screams they're dicks.
Right.
Okay. So this woman, she's an elderly black woman who has mental issues and obviously has a history with the police. And they've obviously been out to her place multiple times because the way they talked to her, I watched the whole video.
And I'm sure they were irritated at being called yet again to her place.
Well, yeah, I watched the whole video, the body cams, everything.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. There is a history there, you can tell. That does not excuse what happened.
Okay.
Okay. So she calls them and says, oh, there's a prowler, blah, blah, blah. They come out. They look all around her property. They don't find anybody. They come to her door, and she takes a while to come to the door. Now, if I'm calling the cops and I want them to come out and check on my property, my ass is dressed. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Okay, she wasn't.
Oh, okay.
So the first thing she says is, oh, I had to put on clothing. Weird. Okay, but whatever. So the cops say, we've been all over the property. We looked at blah, 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 blah. Couldn't find anything. But if you listen to the tone, they're jerks. These guys are jerks. Now, I cannot say if they're jerks because they visited this lady multiple times and they're sick of it, whatever. The tone that is coming across on the video is that these guys are absolute jerks. Just creeps. Like, I wanted to punch them in the face. Just the way they're talking to her. And we might play this video later in another podcast. I'm just putting this in context here. Okay.
Sure.
So she tells them, oh, I had to put on clothes, blah, blah, blah. They come into her house and they check all of her rooms, which I think was nice.
Yeah.
She's scared and she thinks there's a prowler. They checked her property and then they come into her house and they check her entire house. I think that's nice.
Yeah.
That is a service that police don't do. They don't do that.
Right.
Okay. And then, as they're talking to her, I'm not sure why, because I got the feeling that they knew her, but they asked for her ID, which I thought was weird. So I'm not sure where that came from.
Okay.
Because the only reason I think that they would ask for somebody's ID in their own home is if they thought she didn't actually live there. So that was weird. I don't know where that comes from, and that's where things went sideways.
Okay.
I'm on the family side at this point.
Okay.
Because I always start on the cop side, but now I'm on the family side.
Okay.
So there's a little waffling, whatever. They get the ID, whatever. And one of the cops notices that she was boiling water on her stove. And the cop, which is perfectly reasonable, says, oh, hey, you should probably get that off the stove so we don't set the whole place on fire.
Right.
Perfectly reasonable, right?
Right.
Okay. So she goes to the stove and says, I don't know the exact exchange. Like I said, we'll have to watch it. But the exact exchange, a little fuzzy. But basically what went down is they said, hey, get the water off the stove so we don't set the whole place on fire. And she says, I will douse you in the name of Jesus, or something along those lines. Basically implying that she's going to throw the boiling water on them. Okay. This happens after both, I'm sorry, I don't want to bring race into this, but it really is obvious. Both white cops backed off as she enters the kitchen to get the boiling water off and she's upset and actually says to them, why are you backing away? And they said, well, we don't want to get boiling water on us. And she's like, oh, I will anoint you in the name of Jesus. Okay. At that point, a normal person would have said, ha ha.
Yeah.
And gone on.
Right.
What happened instead is the cop pulled his gun and started swearing at her and told her if she effing even considered it, he would effing put a bullet in her effing
I remember
head.
hearing about this now.
Yeah. Okay, so that is where white boy went a little off track. That is where white boy with tattoos kinda bought into the whole white supremacist BS, okay?
Right.
So here's my point. If you want to become a police officer, perhaps it is in your best interest not to have an F-ton of tattoos up and down your arms and all over your head. Because then people might think you're sane. And that goes for black or white. Okay, so what happens next is they start screaming, don't do it, don't do it. What I saw on the body cam is a confused woman wondering why she's being screamed at by crazy men with guns pointed at her, and then they shot her. They killed her. Now, there's going to be sides.
Sure.
This is not a black and white issue.
So to speak.
At all.
Right.
There's no nuance here, there's no gray, and there's no race. This is a bad cop shooting an innocent woman for no reason. We don't need to bring in race. We don't need to bring in anything else.
Okay.
It's easy to.
Sure,
It's
of course
easy
it is.
to.
Of course it is.
Because he was white, she was black, yardy yardy. What I saw was a bad cop freaking out for no reason and shooting an innocent woman. And even without context, even without history, watching that video made me want to throw up. Now, we could go back for days and research where he came from, who he was, his color, blah-de-blah-de, who she was, what her mental anguish was, yardy-yardy. Watching that video of this poor woman who may or may not have had mental issues, who was 20 feet away from big, bad, burly cops with guns, even if she were to huck hot water at them, wouldn't have been hurt. Lose her life because some wussy, painfully inept cops decided that their lives were somehow in danger. Kill her over that? There's no excuse for that.
No.
Now, of course, they're making it black, white, George Floyd, blah, blah. Okay. George Floyd was a thug who died of an overdose.
Right.
Not related. This woman, she could have been pink, purple, orange, black. I don't give a crap. What they did to her was wrong. They killed an innocent woman for no reason. Okay. That all in context.
Okay.
Trump had no idea who this was.
Okay.
He had probably just barely heard about it because it was barely reported on.
Right.
And what little you heard was that she had boiling water. That's at this point all you knew was a black woman was shot by a white guy because of boiling water. And that's all they've been reporting.
Oh dear Lord.
And without the body cam footage and without the context, that's all he knew at this point.
Okay.
Black woman, white guy, boiling water. That's all he knew.
All right.
So here's how they handled it.
By Deputy Sheriff. The deputy has since been charged with murder. You've said police would get immunity for prosecution if you win. Why should someone like that officer have immunity, in your opinion?
Okay, so when he said immunity, he didn't mean all cops under all circumstances should get immunity for everything they've ever done.
Right.
What he was talking about was cops shouldn't be afraid to do their jobs and then later get sued for being racist or whatever.
Right.
Like, all of the cops involved in the George Floyd thing, black, white, Asian, didn't matter.
Right.
Simply because George Floyd was black.
Right.
And died of a drug overdose under their watch. Okay? That's all he knows at this point.
Okay. So let's see what his answer is.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something,
See, he didn't know.
and it didn't look good to me.
And it didn't look good to me either.
Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, police unions are not backing this person either.
Okay.
But
And
again, why would?
are they going to be charging the officer? I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
He didn't
Well,
say
he
that.
might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking about people that are much different cases than that. We need people to protect ourselves. And by the way, in Chicago, as an example, a few weeks ago, July 4th weekend, they had 117 shootings and 17 deaths. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. We need to have our police officers have the respect and dignity back. In this particular case, I saw something that didn't look good to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
Okay, so he needed to be more specific. I don't
Right.
like his answer here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason he wasn't more specific is because he just
It was something
wasn't
he'd
familiar
heard
with the
about.
case. Right.
You know.
And at this point, we didn't have the body cam footage. We didn't know a lot of what
Right.
had happened there.
Right.
But he also needed to be more specific in stating that cops are losing their livelihoods and sometimes even their freedom over things that they need to do on the job.
Right.
You know, if you see a crime in progress and you pull a gun and they pull a gun back at you and you fire and it turns out that it was a squirt gun, that's not on you.
Right.
That's not on you. You don't know
Right.
in that moment. And he needed to be more clear about that.
Oh, can you get a little more specific back to the immunity question?
And she tried.
Who would
She
make
tried.
those-
And he
Well, I
failed
think
there.
for the most part, people are protected by their unions, by their police unions, or by their police departments. But I'm saying if I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job maybe with crime, or made a mistake, an innocent mistake. There's a big difference between
He tries.
being a bad
But it
person
kinda fails.
and making an innocent mistake. But if somebody made an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person.
What would those exceptions be? What would determine
You
an
go
innocent
after
mistake?
somebody and it's a very close call and it's very dangerous. And they have
She's trying. She
a
really is.
policeman's life and woman is a very difficult thing because sometimes you have less than a second to make a
And
you know,
he's
life
right.
and death
He's right.
decision. And sometimes very bad decisions are made. They're not made from an evil standpoint, but they're made from the standpoint of they made a mistake.
So I want to follow up real
See, I don't like that at all. They're not made from an evil standpoint, but they're made from I made a mistake. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like
Ish.
they're not made from an evil standpoint.
Right. And that's.
But you've got to talk about heat of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, and I'm going to piss some people off here right now, the reason why more black men are fired upon during traffic stops is because they won't comply. And I'm not saying, trust me, I hate complying. I think it's BS, and I think that our cops have way too much power. Here's the thing. If you just say yes or no, sir, give them your ID, do the thing, most of the time they'll let you off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that as a pretty girl who gets off because I'm not pretty and I don't get off.
disagree.
You get paid to say that. I'm saying that as someone who has talked to cops. And when they come up to you and you're combative and you're being a jerk, they're going to reply in kind.
Mm-hmm.
But if they come up to you and you're like, oh, golly, officer, I have no idea why you pulled me over, or, oh, golly, officer, I know why you pulled me over, and I'm really sorry, which I've actually done. Here's my
Me too.
ID, here's my insurance. By the way, I carry a weapon here, whatever. They're okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
They're okay with that.
Right.
But if you're like, hey, MFer, blah, blah, or I'm not even going to roll down my window and I'm not going to do anything, well, why wouldn't they be on guard?
Right.
So there's an argument to be had because black moms are teaching their children to not comply. There's video after video after video of black mom, and it's always single moms. I'm not going to say anything about that, but just putting that out there, telling their sons that they need to not comply. And then we wonder why there's so many of these things happening.
And to back it up, I mean, if you feel that you are being mistreated by police officers, there are channels to deal with that afterwards. And after the cop has let you go.
And I am 100% for videoing. 100%. If the cop says don't video me, that's more reason to video them. I'm saying that out loud. I'm saying that out proud. The thing is, that was not an issue in this particular case.
Right.
And we weren't able to talk about that because he didn't know and they moved on to the next thing.
Right.
The reason why there are so many issues with, I'm sorry, black folks getting in trouble with the cops is because they have been taught to argue with the cops. Now, I've been in a situation where the cop was 1,000% wrong. And, you know, I have issues. And I was detained. And I was told things that weren't true. And I was not able to reply. Did I pull a gun on them? No. Did I argue with them? A little bit. And that's why I was detained. Did I not comply? No. Did I fight them? No. And what happened is they were jerks. They had no standing. And they detained me, and I was stuck there for a while. But I complied with all their other orders.
Sure.
I was not combative.
Right.
I only called them names behind their back.
Fair enough.
And once they called into headquarters and all the thing, and they reported me and all the stuff, they let me go. Not because I was white. Not because I was a woman. But because they didn't have any standing.
Right.
And that would happen in, I would say, 99.9% of the cases. I have watched body cam
I wouldn't go that
footage.
high, but it's up there. It's in the 90s.
Yeah, it's in the 90s.
It's in the 90s.
I have watched body cam footage for literally every one of these cases because I am appalled every time one of these comes across. And I'm going to be fair. What happened to this woman with the boiling water? They need to burn in hell. They fired upon this woman for no reason. She lost her life for no reason. They will burn in hell. And I'm 100%. I don't even care if she has a history. I don't even care if she's known as being just absolutely crazy. She was clear across the room. Couldn't have hurt them. Didn't have a weapon outside of boiling water. Give me a break. And they fired on her. These cops were out of their minds and should not be in any place of power at all ever, under any circumstances. That has nothing to do with their race.
Right. They're just bad
That has nothing to do
cops.
with her race. That has nothing to do, but of course they make it about race.
Well, it's going to always be about that. It just is. And
that makes me sad.
It is
because
sad.
when this happens to a white dude, when you watch the video, I wish I could remember his name, but the guy who's literally on his knees crying, begging for his life, and they shoot him anyway.
It was in a hallway somewhere, right?
Yeah,
I remember
in a hotel.
that. Yeah, I remember that
He
footage.
did nothing
It
wrong.
turned my stomach.
He did nothing wrong, But he was a white dude, and you know what? Because he's a white dude, I can't even remember his name.
No.
Because it wasn't.
But it was a
reported
long.
on.
From if it's the same one I'm thinking about, though, to be fair, it was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
or
it wasn't
more.
even that long ago. But the thing is, he was a white dude, so you don't know his name.
Okay.
I mean, I could rattle off 20 names off the top of my head of black people that were shot by white cops. But you think of white people? Can you name one?
No.
And they're way, way, way more often shot by cops than black guys. And there's been study after study after study that proves that. Okay, anyways, I paused for too long. Let's get back to this.
Okay.
Really quickly, I find it interesting because you do talk about reining in prosecutors, especially when it comes to prosecutors that are prosecuting you. Why doesn't that skepticism...
That was unfair.
It's kind of cute.
Okay.
apply to law enforcement?
Well, I've been prosecuted because I'm a political opponent of two people that have weaponized our justice system.
True.
I've been prosecuted. I just won the big case in Florida. Everyone said that was the biggest case. That was the most difficult case. And I just won it. Now, Biden has a similar case, except much worse. I was protected under the Presidential Records Act. Biden wasn't because he wasn't president at the time.
Nope.
And he had 50 years worth of documents.
Yep.
And they ruled that he was incompetent and therefore he shouldn't stand trial.
Yep.
And I said, isn't that something? He's incompetent and he can't stand trial. And yet, he can be president.
He's still president.
But they released him on the basis
Interrupt. Quick, stop.
He had no memory and he was a nice old guy, but he had no memory. And so therefore, we're not going to prosecute him.
I love that he says that.
I won the case and it got very little publicity. I didn't notice ABC doing any publicity on it, George.
Sir, I'd love to.
I'm sorry. This is like
Smack
the comedy tour.
I know. He keeps digging on ABC. It's funny.
Because he's right, though. He's right.
Well, we're on to
I
different
didn't notice
topics
you
now.
do any publicity on it at all. I won the case, the biggest case.
He does go on a little bit long about this.
No, he does go on a little bit, and that's the other thing.
That's his style, though. Yeah, I mean, that's...
I'm going to be honest, though, it's my style, too, so I can't be too mad at it. It's like I want to hammer it home, and then I want to make sure you understand I hammered it home.
And I'm going to hand you the
hammer
so you can hammer the point onto yourself.
No,
right?
I totally get it.
Yeah,
I do.
I have another one where
Sir,
I have
if you
a
don't mind, I'd
hostile
love
judge.
we have you for a limited time, sir. I'd love
We
to
have
move on
you
to
for a
different
limited
topics.
time. Whose fault is that, honey? Whose fault is that?
You're the one that held me up for 30
Okay. I'm not the only one laughing. You heard that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I am not the only one who laughed at that. Oh, my God. I'm not the only one who laughed at that.
I won the case, and it got very little publicity. I didn't notice ABC doing any publicity on it, George.
We covered you extensively,
Laughter.
sir. I'd love to move over on to
I
different
didn't
topics
notice you
now.
do any publicity on it at all. I won the case, the biggest case. This is an attack on a political opponent. I have another one where I
Sir,
have
if you
a
don't mind, I'd
hostile
love to
judge.
we have you for a limited time, sir. I'd love to move on to different
No,
topics.
excuse
if
you.
we
You're the
can.
one that held me up for 35 minutes, just so you understand.
Okay. That was pearl-clutching and indignant gasps.
Yeah, I know.
At least that's what they're reporting.
Yeah, it was laughter.
Yeah.
But he's funny. The man is funny.
Funny! I mean, I'm cracking up over the people who say, oh, he's so stupid because he said most of the people there were black.
It was a joke. Obviously, most of the people are black because it's black journalists.
That was the joke, and they laughed at the joke.
If we can move on now to the state of the race, sir, I want to get back to the campaign. Senator J.D. Vance is your running mate. He's had a lot of controversy lately, and I want to read you a few things that he has said in the past. He said the Democrats running the country are a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made.
They are.
You know, I think he was trying to be Trump there.
Well,
he needs to work on it, but
the thing is, that was taken completely out of context.
What was the context then?
Well, just like the Fine People hoax, there's a build-up to it where he says, first of all, before they take this out of context, wink, wink, I want to make sure they understand I am not talking about people who haven't found the right person or are unable to have children because of biological issues. He
Naturally. He literally said that, huh?
Literally
Oh my
said
gosh.
that. Now,
See, I haven't been listening to.
I'm not quoting word for word, but that's what he said.
I'm just hearing cat ladies and having
and then
sex
he
with
said,
couches
what's left,
and la.
What's left
Mm-hmm.
is these blue-haired, nose-pierced cat ladies. Well, he's right.
Yeah.
By the way, the couch thing's completely made up.
I know.
They even quoted a page number that doesn't exist. Completely made up.
Okay.
And that's how vile they are, that not only will they just create something out of the ether that's gross.
Hi, Froggy.
But most of them, you just yelled hi, Froggy, in the middle of the podcast.
I know.
Now you have to explain to our listeners.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Because if you look out our window at night,
we have the best windows.
We have the best windows. During the day, we see the birds, and during the night, we see the newts and the
literally
frogs.
right now we're looking out
sometimes
our window.
Some beautiful insects too, but
attached to our window at this exact moment is a tiny little frog, and to the right is a tiny little newt and
Freddy the frog
snails,
and Nerman the newt.
And when it's not so hot, we see fireflies,
mm-hmm.
and we have the best windows. And I just love my little froggies and my little nudie. They're so cute. Yeah. And then during the day, the AC unit that sticks out the window, I put a bird bath out there, and I get bright red cardinals, and they come and they splash around and get water all over the window, so I can't see them splash around, but they do. And then there's a bird feeder out there, and they come and they eat, and oh boy. And then out my window where I wash the dishes, because we live out in the middle of no damn where, and I don't have a dishwasher. When I'm washing the dishes, I really just wanted something to look at besides the trees. So we put a hummingbird feeder, and I get hummingbirds. So I'm washing the dishes, and I'm seeing the hummingbirds come and go. And we just live in the most...
She doesn't look like it, but she's basically Snow White.
I'm basically a Disney princess.
With a smile.
With a smile. Someday my prince will come. Yeah. I freaking love it here. I do. I love it. I've got my little newts, my little frogs. I've got my little hummingbirds, my cardinals. It's an amazing place to live in, which has nothing to do with the god-awful political nonsense that we're dealing with now. Shall we continue?
Let's continue with the political nonsense.
And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. He's not talking here about how great it is to be a parent. He's attacking what he says are the choices people are making to not have children.
And he's right. And she nailed it without understanding that she nailed it. Mm-hmm. He's attacking the choices that people make to not have children. Okay, so they're trying to make this about people who can't.
Right.
There's a big difference between those who can't and those who choose not to.
That's my category.
Those who can't and those who won't.
Right.
And she's trying to muddy that up a bit.
Sure.
Did you know that he had these views about people who do not have children before you picked him to be your running mate?
Well, yeah, and he also had knowledge of the view that he thought Trump was a dictator and he would never vote for Trump.
Right.
But he grew up.
Uh-huh.
Aiden, do you agree with him?
No, I know this. He is very family-oriented, and he thinks family is a great thing. That doesn't mean he thinks that if you don't have a family, it's not. I know people with families. I know people with great families. I know people with very troubled families. And I also know people with no families. They didn't meet the right person. Things happen. You go through life, you don't meet the right person.
But he's not just talking about families here. He also says that people that don't have children...
Let him finish his sentence, Rob.
To get less votes than those that do.
She's starting to sound like me.
I'm just speaking for myself.
Is that your
I think
position?
I'm speaking for him, too. He strongly believes in family, but I know people with great families. I know people with not great families that don't have a family. And the people without the family are far better. They're superior in many cases, okay? He's not saying they're not. What he's saying is that he thinks the family experience is a very important thing. It's a very good thing. But that doesn't mean that if you grow up and you grow older and you don't meet somebody that would be wonderful to meet and would have been good, that's a bad thing. He's not saying that. My interpretation, you'll have to ask him, actually, but my interpretation is he's strongly family-oriented, but that doesn't mean if you don't have a family, there's something wrong with it.
Just one last point.
See, I don't like his stance on that. I don't think he quite understood the question. his answer was mealy mouth.
Uh-huh.
His answer should have been more like, he was talking directly to the people who choose not to have children and are bitter at those who do.
Right.
But he was really mealy-mouthed about it, and I don't like his response at all.
Okay. So
that was a bad response.
C- on that one, okay.
No. D, F.
Really?
F even.
Wow, okay.
Then we'll move on. Just one of the bedrock principles of...
In fact, F minus. I'm not even going to give him the D. F minus because they're going to use that as fodder. And you know they are.
Sure.
That was a bad response. It didn't address the question. And he didn't get any point across that helps the position at all. So F minus on that one.
American life is one person, one vote. Senator J.D. Vance has suggested that someone who has children should have more votes than a person who does not have children.
He never said that.
You didn't?
That is a flat out lie. That is a flat out lie. He never said that. You cannot find that anywhere. He didn't say that.
Okay.
I just want to be clear here. Is that the position of your campaign?
Well, no, but it's not something I have ever heard before.
Because it literally never happened. So it shouldn't have been a no but. It should have been a no and. That literally never happened.
I can tell you this. Right now you have illegal aliens coming into our country, and many from...
I do appreciate the jag. I don't appreciate the no but. It should have been a no and. That never happened because it didn't. He never said that.
Does Donald Trump know for a fact that it didn't happen?
Everybody knows for a fact.
All
because it's stupid.
Okay.
And J.D. Vance is not stupid.
Far
I
from
don't
it.
agree with him on a lot of things, but the man is not stupid. And that is stupid. And he never said it.
Okay.
He never said that.
Okay.
prisons and many from mental institutions, and they want to give them votes. I don't think they should have votes.
Now, they fact-checked him on that.
Mm-hmm.
And said, oh, they're not releasing blah, blah, blah. No, yeah, they are. And they did. And we have multiple sources that say so. Crowder has multiple sources, and you can follow our Twitter account. You can follow us. We will cite multiple sources that, yes, indeed, they are releasing their prisoners because it's cheaper to send them here than it is to take care of them there.
It's true.
And
that makes sense.
Literally happening. It literally has happened. And it's worse now because of Biden, because the borders are wide friggin' open.
Into our country illegally,
People
and
who
they're
are only
taking the
American
vote away
citizens
from
are
all
allowed
of the
to vote,
people
sir.
in this room that have been here a long time, that have worked hard, that in many cases...
And the sources for this are border control, the CIA, the FBI. We're not talking like, oh, the sources are Fox News
Mother
and,
Jones or...
yeah, Mother Jones and other...
Okay.
No, the sources for this are border control.
Right.
Yeah.
And you'll see this happening. If I'm not elected, you're going to see it happening. If I am, you're not going to have any problem. But you're going to see it happening.
Because he shut this crap down the first time.
Right. He'll shut
a
it
long
down.
time. You're going to see the people in this room and people outside of this room are going to be losing their jobs to people that have come into this country illegally.
Yep.
Mr. President, can we stay with just kind of the state of the race right now? Because I felt like that vice president question, candidate question was right in there with that. So let's talk about J.D. Vance for a little bit. He's had some stumbles out of the gate. I don't know if...
So my problem with this entire line of questioning, have you ever voted for a candidate based on the vice president?
I haven't, but there are people who do.
Who?
I couldn't name any individually, to be honest.
Nobody. Literally nobody votes or doesn't vote for a candidate based on the vice president.
Then why do they spend so much time wringing their wrists about it. I'm not talking.
That's my point.
I mean, Republicans and Democrats both do that.
Yeah,
they
that's
spend
my
so
point.
much time and make a big deal out of it.
Because if you were to listen to them, the only reason Biden got into office is because his vice president is pretending to be black and she's a woman.
I mean, sometimes they bring him in because they're such idiots that they're like
most of the time, and
bulletproof.
Biden is direct proof of this. Most of the time, the vice president is brought in as they're brought in to make sure that you don't assassinate the main candidate. Okay?
Yeah.
Biden was brought in because he's the dumbest, most idiotic, most ridiculous idea for president, so that even, the most hardened racist who wanted to off Obama would be like, ooh, but then we'd be stuck with Biden.
right.
Okay? Biden was assassination insurance. So what does that say about Kamala?
But she's also the same.
She's even dumber, worse than Biden. Because Biden is the worst thing you could possibly think of, because you think about socialist, inexperienced, elected because of his skin color Obama.
Mm-hmm.
Really, those are the only reasons he was elected. He didn't have experience. He's not really that bright.
I got to admit, before the
together.
Democratic convention leading up to, when he got up there and made his speech, I don't think anybody outside of Illinois had even heard of the man.
Nobody had heard of him. Literally, nobody had. I had never heard that man's name before.
It goes back to, I think there's a lot of control going on, because back in the early 90s, when Bill Clinton was running for president the first time around, one of his opponents, who I supported at the time, was Jerry Brown. He's the former governor of California, the former head of the California Democratic Party, a bigwig, and the press treated him like he was some kind of goofball from out of nowhere. It is truly amazing how they can manipulate people.
It's
so easily.
amazing, because I'll be honest. Before he ran for president, I had literally never heard of Obama. Never heard of him before. I had no idea who he was. And when I first heard of him, I'm like, Obama, that's a weird name. It was on radio.
Right.
No visual.
Right.
And he was talking. I'm like, oh, okay, he's a socialist. That's not our thing.
Right.
And then he went into, I'm black, yo, I'm black, yo, I'm black, yo, I'm black, yo, I'm black, yo.
I'm black, y'all. Yes, I'm black, y'all. Yes, I'm
This is on
black, black,
radio.
and I'm black. Yeah.
This is on radio.
Mhm.
So my first impression was, who is this guy? My second impression is, oh, he's a socialist, not interested. And then he told me he was black.
Yeah.
But that made me racist because I noticed. I'm like, wait, what? And, then, he's black, he's black, he's black, he's black, I'm black. The whole thing with both Kamala and Obama is exactly like Sadie and a tennis ball. It's a ball, it's a ball, it's a ball, it's a ball. I got the ball, here's the ball, here's the ball, I got the ball, I got the ball, here's the ball, here's the ball, I've got the ball, I got the ball, we gotta play ball, we gotta play ball, we gotta play ball, we gotta play ball. I don't care about the damn ball. No, here's the ball, here's the ball, here's the ball, let's play ball, ball. I don't care about the ball, I've got things to do. No, it's the ball, it's the ball, it's the ball.
Yeah,
that's how
I feel that.
That's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
I don't care what color her skin is. I don't care what she's claiming to be this week because she changes whatever, whoever's listening to her. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is that she's vapid. She has no policies that I back. She slept her way into the position and she has no experience. That's what I care about. I would care about that if she were white. I would care about that if she were male. I would care about that if she had no arms or legs. I would care about that if she were Indian or black.
Right.
I care about the fact that she's vapid, owned, has no experience, and no policies. None. You ask her about policies and you get a cackle and a diversion to her race.
So when, I mean, we're getting a little off track, but when the debate happens, and there's going to be at least one, there's going to have to be. There's going to have to be.
I mean, since we don't get to vote for our candidates anymore, since we don't get to have primaries anymore, so she's the candidate. Yeah. Because we have to save our democracy unless something incredible and weird happens at the Democratic convention, but let's assume, because everybody else is, she's the front runner for the Democratic, okay, or she's going to be the standard holder. Trump can't say anything and he can't do anything, because if he says anything at all, even if he's like, "Oh, that's a nice dress you're wearing," racist. Yeah. If he says, "Hey, how's the weather today?" That's racist.
So do you think
he cannot say or do anything that they will not interpret as racist or sexist?
But that's just when you say they. I know you're talking about the left wing radicals and the press
media,
and all
Pravda, all of them.
So, do you think his best strategy is going to sit back and let her hang herself like he did with Joe Biden?
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. I think his best policy is A, just talk about her as if she's a normal candidate, and B, just let her hang herself. Because here is the strategy. They're going to keep her out of the press as much as possible, because the more people see of her, the more they're going to hate her, because she is unlikable. She's vapid, she's shallow, she's not bright, and she's unlikable. I would vote for Fran Drescher over her, because Fran Drescher has a better laugh.
She also has a brain in her head.
There is that. But I'm just
saying, she led the union, and she,
I'm just saying,
taking the AI crap.
I'm just saying. Yeah. I would vote for my cat before I would vote for her.
Oh, what a wonderful thing! I would love to be president of the United States!
Didn't you announce your candidacy, Max? Because I haven't seen any of your ads, buddy.
Oh, yes. Well, there was some silly law about having to give up my job as a media personality, and I just couldn't do it.
Wasn't there also a thing about having to be 35 or older?
But in cat years, I am over 35. In fact, I'm doddering.
Okay, you do have a point. I don't think they consider cat years.
They don't?
I don't think they do.
This is an outrage!
There's your next focus there, Max.
Oh dear, I have to do this again?
Yeah.
Well, I can't do it now. There's only 3 months until the election.
It doesn't take that many months. I mean, they installed Kamala. She didn't have to do anything. I think you've got this, Max.
All right.
It's okay to be orange.
It is definitely okay to be orange. Right. And by the way, buy my It's Okay to Be Orange coffee mug or t-shirt today at CounterCultureWISE.com.
That's my boy.
And now I'm going back to sleep.
Night-night, Max.
Good night, Max.
Yeah. Okay, so we continue.
Yes.
You're hearing what we hear as reporters, but it's been a tough couple of weeks for him. Why did you choose J.D. Vance? Why did you choose him? And I'm having a hard time hearing, too.
See, they admit it. They can't hear.
I chose him because he's a very strong believer in work and the working man and woman, and especially the working man and woman who have been treated very unfairly, because you have many of them in this room.
Because I'll be honest, I've never heard of the guy before.
Very unfairly. They worked very hard and they were treated unfairly. He wrote the book that became a bestseller. The movie became a smash hit.
He had a movie. Did you know he had a movie? I didn't know.
Yeah, I do now.
Having a family that has contacts, like a father that was well connected. He got into Yale Law School. He graduated in 2 years from Ohio State, summa cum laude. You take a look at his career has been an amazing career. He started off at a level with a difficult family situation.
So here's the thing. They're going to be all white privilege and all this nonsense.
Right.
Dudes from Appalachia.
Yeah.
That's below black slave.
That is like white trash to the nth.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, you want to talk about black slaves, freed slaves, yardy, that they actually are below that.
Right.
But they're still going to say or white privilege.
Right.
Very difficult with the mother.
Dude did it,
father,
though.
and everything
Indeed.
else. He ends up going to Yale Law School and was one of the top students, became the head of the law journal. I mean, it's an amazing...
And he did it because they said he couldn't.
And I got to admit, I thought J.D. Vance, I got him mixed up with John J. Nance, who is a best-selling author. So I kept thinking, hey, cool, a novelist is running for... that just shows you how out of touch I can be. So,
well, I didn't know who this guy was. I didn't know. He could have been
although,
Stephen King
he did
for
write a
all I know,
best-selling book, and I do
Stephen
plan
King
to read
has lost
it.
his mind, but yeah.
I will read it, but...
All right, Christmas books, Christmas exchange.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, we do a Christmas exchange every year of books. I already know which one I want, pretty much. So,
all right.
Well, there's one of two.
Uh-huh. Last year we did a Kindle because we had so many books we couldn't decide.
Yeah, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to hold on to all of them.
That too.
I love Kindles, but there's nothing like a book. Anyway.
That's true too.
Yeah.
All right.
Dang, he's a 4-year. He was in the military with great distinction.
He's a Marine.
Yes, I know. He's an old jar like me.
Got out, went into business, became successful in business, very successful in business, actually. Did public offerings and other things. And I have to believe in that. I mean, he's somebody that was born in a rough situation. Most of the people know that situation because it was very well documented in his book.
Uh-huh.
And I have a lot of respect for somebody that can get into Yale and become one of the best students in Yale, that meets a young woman at Yale who was also outstanding, and they get married, they have a beautiful family. But he had he's made himself an amazing life. He then goes to Ohio, lives in Ohio, and he had my endorsement. That helped.
Doesn't hurt.
I love Trump.
So he's a United States Senator. And so, Harris, like I respect you for your success, I respect people for their success.
Like I respect you for your success. Tossed her. That was nice. That was nicely done.
He didn't say it to the blue lady.
The reason I asked the question...
Well, the blue pantsuit lady.
Blue pantsuit lady, no.
Is not there because of her,
Just because the last time you and I sat and talked was the day that you were shot. We've been together for much of that day. You left to go to Butler, Pennsylvania, and we didn't know what was next.
Yeah.
And
I'm
2 days
sorry.
after that...
I cannot understand your microphone.
I know,
so
it is
long.
really hard for me to
it's just, I can understand you perfectly.
because she's closer.
I can understand blue.
blue pants lady.
Yeah, I can't. They are taking all of this out of context.
Sure.
He can't hear her.
Right.
He's doing his best, but he can't hear her. Mm-hmm. And they never admit that.
Happy to hear that, sir.
But I can't
really
understand.
Am I crazy or was that laughter?
It was laughter.
That didn't sound like
Didn't
shocked.
Pearl clutching gasps.
Yeah, because that's what
I mean, there might have been one or two, but it was mostly laughing.
Yeah, because all I've heard is shocked, pearl clasping
Oh,
gasps
please.
and
No, please.
that is laughter.
Because of the distance, and the mics are really in lousy shape, but I cannot understand what you're saying.
So what I wanted to say was the last time we spoke, you said some words.
Okay. Why did he grab her water and tighten the cap?
I have no idea.
Why did he do that?
Maybe that
so boss. He just reached over, grabbed her
I assumed it was a bottle they provided for him.
His water is over on the other side.
Oh my.
He just reached over, grabbed her water, tightened the cap.
I'll bet she gave him the eye.
Down.
Oh wow.
And didn't even drink from it. And I don't even know if that was
intentional, nervous tick. What?
I don't know, but
and so Harris, like I respect you for your
you gotta
success.
watch this again. I respect you for your success.
The reason I asked the question is because the last time you and I sat and talked was the day that you were shot. You
They
did
were
together for
shot.
much of that day.
Uh-huh.
You left.
They're
You
still,
went to Butler, Pennsylvania.
at this point, they were still actually saying he wasn't shot.
Right. Right.
Just
You
putting
didn't
that
know
out there.
what was next.
Yeah.
And two
I'm
days
sorry.
after
I
that,
cannot understand your microphone.
I know
is so
it
can't
is
hear
really
her.
hard for me
I
to
mean, it's just,
understand you
I can understand you perfectly.
because she's
Whoa.
closer.
Laughter!
But I can't
Really happy to hear
understand,
that.
Harris,
I have a few more questions.
because of the distance and the mics are really in lousy shape, but I cannot understand
Are you
So,
asking a question?
what you're saying.
Why does he reach over there? He had to really reach for it too.
so what I
Grabs
wanted to
her
say
water
was the
bottle.
last time we
Tightens the cap
I have no idea why he did that.
and puts it back. Why did he
Closer
do
to him,
that?
I don't know.
because I asked you who you wanted to choose for vice president.
Yeah.
And you said normally it really wouldn't matter what they would, you choose somebody that you think has a future that.
I'm going for extra boss move on that one
Okay.
because that was funny.
That was funny.
That's something you would do to me.
It's very much something I would do to you.
Sort of thing. But you said these words 3.5 hours before an attempted assassination on your life. You told me that bad things happen, Harris, and that's why this decision is important.
Mm-hmm.
Bad things happen. You said it twice. When you look at J.D. Vance, is he ready on day one?
Does he what?
Ready on day one.
That's actually a very fair
It's
question.
a very good question.
Very fair question. I'm sad that he couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
I think that is a very fair question because that is a question that nobody asked Biden.
No.
If you were assassinated, is Kamala ready on day one?
Mm-hmm.
And the question would be, the cackling horror? Let me rethink this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead, what we got is, oh, what's your favorite ice cream color? This is a good question.
What's his
If
answer?
he has to.
I've always had great respect for him, and for the other candidates too. But I will say this, and I think this is well documented. Historically, the vice president, in terms of the election, does not have any impact. I mean, virtually no impact. You have 2 or 3 days.
Waffling. I don't like this answer. I'm going to be honest. I don't like this answer. I wanted him to come out and say yes.
Yeah, that would be best.
No matter what happens to me, I have picked a candidate that if something were to happen to me, he would do a great job. And you know why that would be a good answer? Because anybody who has their sights set on Trump would be like, oh, crap, I'm not really going to make an impact.
Right.
This is a waffling answer. I don't like it. So for those of you who say we're sycophants and can't, say anything against the candidate, no, this is a sucky answer. I don't like it. It's waffling, and I have a better answer for that. Stop saying you want waffles. We do have a waffle maker, though.
We do have a waffle maker.
We do. It only makes teeny tiny waffles in the shape
of the state of Texas.
The state of Texas, but I can make waffles if you want.
Is where there's a lot of commotion as to who, like you're having it on the Democrat side, who it's going to be. And then that dies down, and it's all about the presidential pick. Virtually never has it mattered. Maybe Lyndon Johnson mattered for different reasons than what we're talking about. Not for vote reasons, but for political reasons.
This is waffling. I don't like it.
But, historically, the choice of a vice president makes no difference. You're voting for the president, and you can have a vice president.
While I agree with him on this answer, that you are voting for the president, as the Biden-Kamala nonsense proved,
right.
The correct answer would have been absolutely 100% yes. If you shoot me in the head, this guy will take over and he'll be worse than me. That's the correct answer. I don't like this answer.
President who's outstanding in every way, and I think JD is. I think that all of them would have been, but you're not voting that way. You're voting for the president. You're voting for me. If you like me,
no, we are voting for you, Mr. President. However, the correct answer would be, and if you shoot me, you get this guy who's even worse than me.
I'm going to win. If you don't like me, I'm not going to win.
I'm going to get my J.D. Vance question in.
J.D. Vance?
I'm going to get my J.D. Vance question in. To your point and to Rachel's point, he, has a lot of opinions about childless women like myself or divorced people like yourself. Do you think, well...
I like to look.
It was said in a friendly manner.
My point is...
What did he say?
Come on. It was said in a friendly manner. Yeah, and it was. It was. You got to hand it to him.
Do you think...
And the whole crowd laughed at that.
Yeah.
The Republican Party is getting a little bit too judgy about people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about what J.D. Vance is saying.
I don't think, look, I think that the Democrat Party is really the one that has the problem. I think they're radical on abortion because they're allowing abortion in the 9th month. They're allowing,
which is true.
I think it's
they're
about
allowing
freedom,
the death of
It's
a baby
true.
after the baby is born based on
Sir, that's
governor
illegal
of Virginia.
in every state in the
Based
country.
No,
on
it's
the
not.
governor of Virginia,
Executing a
they're
baby
allowing
in
the
every
death
state
It's
of the
not.
baby
is illegal.
after it's born. They're
It's a crime.
allowing abortion.
They start arguing with him on this. It is legal in multiple states, and we have video proof of that. And they're arguing that it's not. It is.
In the 8th and 9th month.
Well,
of
Democrats
pregnancy.
have denied.
I think they're right, and I think the
Democrats
Republican
have
Party is
denied
actually
it. Well,
much less. I think
Democrats
I'd make
deny
them
a
much
lot.
less radical, perhaps, but the Republican Party, what we're doing is bringing it back to the states where everybody wanted it. Democrats, Republicans,
He's
liberals,
dead on about that.
everybody
Dead
Absolutely
on.
right.
abortion
Dead on.
brought back. They didn't want Roe v. Wade in the federal government. They wanted
Yes.
everybody.
But the
wanted
majority
it
of
back.
Americans oppose
Excuse me.
Roe v. Wade being
They
overturned.
don't
No, they
know
don't.
about this.
That's
Right
not
now,
true
they're voting.
either.
It brought it back to the states. Now, I happen to believe in the 3 exceptions. Ronald Reagan believed with rape, incest,
He's
life
doing
of the
it
mother.
accordion arms again. I
do.
hate that.
I think most people do. I think most Republicans do also. But if you take a look, right now
I
they're
hate that.
doing, it's an amazing thing. Out of the federal government, it's in states, and people are voting. And I will say, Ohio is, let's call it a more liberal version, has been approved. Kansas, the same thing, a little bit surprising to a lot of people. But the people are now voting. And it's taking this
Yes.
issue that's been going on for 52 years and has torn our country apart, and it's giving it to the people to vote on.
Yes.
And they're voting. And
And they are.
many states have already voted. Others are in the process of
Yep.
voting. And it's bringing it back to the people and a vote of the people.
And he's right.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's not
He's
at
right.
all radical. And again, you have to follow your heart. I happen to believe in the 3 exceptions. Most people believe in the 3 exceptions. Most Republicans believe in the exceptions.
What are the 3
But
exceptions?
they don't want to see an abortion in the 9th month or the 8th month.
No.
Almost everybody agrees to that. And they certainly don't want to see, in the case of the governor of Virginia, the former governor, I might add, who said, we set the baby aside and then we decide what to do. Meaning, what do? We execute the baby.
Can I?
Uh-huh.
That's a radical,
That's exactly
horrible
what he
position.
said.
And
That's
some people-
exactly what he
Some
said.
people want that. I don't want it. Most people don't.
Thank you. Can I just pivot really quickly to another question about, you brought up health, Harris. You're an active man. We see you golf.
Okay, so you made a great point about abortion.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pivot quickly to something completely unrelated.
And now for something completely different.
Hey,
It's
yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
Thing all the time. But if you win, you'll still be president at 82,
No.
which is older than Biden is right now.
But not
Would you-
mentally. Look, mentally.
Here's the question.
He's shot. He's shot.
Oh
But
my God.
Most people.
They're laughing. They're laughing. Oh my God! Listen.
I know many people in their
Yeah.
80s and their 90s that are in great shape. Some of our greatest leaders. You look at throughout the world history, the greatest leaders, some of the greatest leaders in the world were in their 80s.
But here's the question. Would you consider stepping down if you felt that your health was declining? Or would you?
Absolutely.
And who would
I
make,
think I'd know.
How would you make that decision?
I think I'd know. Look, if I came onto a stage like this and I got treated so rudely as this woman treated
Oh my
me,
goodness.
I laughed again.
because she was very rude, sir. Very rude. That was a question. She
Sir,
didn't
you
ask
can
me a
answer the
question.
question.
She gave a statement. That wasn't a question.
I
true.
remember
You
your
answered the
statement, sir,
question.
actually.
You said you would. you would
Oh,
make that
absolutely.
decision
If I
to step
thought
down.
that I was failing in some way, I want people to be sharp. I'll go a step further. I want anybody running for president to take an aptitude test, to take
Amen.
a cognitive test.
Yes.
I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely.
And I took 2 of them, and I aced them.
Well,
I took 2 of them. But let me ask you.
Yeah.
I would like to have people running for president, and I don't mean because they're 75 or 85. I think anybody running, I'd like to do it. People say it's not constitutional.
100%.
I would like to have something passed where
Yes.
we can do it. I think we should know. I mean, I've watched what's happened.
I
in the
don't
last
care if you're
couple of
50. I
years
want you
under
to
this
take that
gentleman,
test.
And our country is a mess. We have inflation. We have the millions of people falling in. We have Afghanistan, which was the worst, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
Yes.
What he has done to our country, and her too. What
Uh-huh.
they've done to our country, she has been a horrible vice president.
Yep.
She's considered the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Mr.
Don't mean to
President,
interrupt you, but would you consider taking the cognitive test
Mr. President,
I would love to
and
do
make
it.
it public?
Well, I've already taken 2 of them, but I'll do it again.
Mr.
I
President,
suggested-
how do you intend to
I've already taken 2 of them. They're all like, it's like, dude, seriously, chill. I've already taken 2 of them. Calm your tits.
And he just,
as you like to say, calm your tits.
I haven't used that term in quite a while, actually.
It's been like
5 minutes.
5 or 6 minutes. Yeah. Calm your tits. Dude, not even joking.
I think if he had actually said that live, calm your tits, I think that would have been like a T-shirt moment, a bumper sticker moment. It would have been like just like the flag above his bleeding head.
But he's better than us. He's better than we are.
In a lot of ways, yes.
So many ways. But he's better than we are. Because that is what I would have said. Honey, boo, no, honey, calm your tits. We've done that.
Yeah.
It's happened. It's already happened, honey.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at the results of what's already happened.
I don't know how you ace a cognitive test. I mean, does that mean you're just not...
that's the thing, is you either pass it or you flunk it, and Biden flunked.
I don't think he even took one.
No,
he
didn't flunk
refused to take it because he knew
that's the thing.
in his dark little heart, he knew he would fail.
Because, he's never taken an IQ test and he's never taken a cognitive test.
Because they don't give out negative scores.
There's that. Yeah.
Sorry, folks. I'm not a big fan of Joseph Biden.
Yeah.
For numerous reasons. The Afghanistan thing and the transfer, that was all I needed.
Oh, let's
I was done with him.
The was it? Lord
The
of
Butcher
Lords?
of Baghdad, or whatever his stupid
Whatever
name
that-
is.
Yeah. Let's trade that for a barely passing tranny basketball player. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's so many reasons to be overjoyed that we're not going to be burdened with another 4 years of
But
Biden.
I am 1,000,000,000%, like 6,000,000,000%
6
behind.
billion%.
Let's have cognitive tests
Yes.
for every candidate, for every position
In the
ever.
federal government, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
put me down for that.
Okay.
I'm totally okay for that.
I suggested, Harris, that let's take one. I
Let's
said,
take
Joe
one.
and I will go and take a cognitive test.
Do it.
Now, I'd do it with her, too.
Her too.
I would do it with her also. You know
'Cause
what?
I don't think she'd
she
pass.
failed her law exam. She didn't pass her law exam, so maybe she wouldn't pass the cognitive test.
Mr. President, are you saying she wouldn't pass? Just to be clear,
I'm just giving you the facts.
to be clear, you don't think
I'm
Harris?
just
How do you
giving you the-
intend?
Oh, to be clear, yeah. To be clear.
They are so quick to defend her. It's hilarious.
If she's so smart, if she's so great, if she's so amazing, she doesn't need you to carry her water, you racist jerks.
Yeah.
She
And
didn't
look,
pass her bar exam,
She didn't.
and she didn't think she would pass it, and she didn't think she was going to ever pass it. And I don't know what happened. Maybe she passed it. I
she
guess
did pass it.
There's a
She
man
did-
over
she
here. I
did
think
in
he's
fact
She
much
did.
more-
Mr. President, I would love to
After
ask
she
you about
flunked it.
January 6th. You called yourself the candidate of law and order. When Time Magazine asked you if you would consider pardoning all the rioters,
Now he's
you said,
drinking the
yes,
water that
absolutely.
was.
You called them patriots. 140 police officers were
drink the
assaulted
water.
that day.
Okay.
Their injuries included broken bones. At least one officer lost an eye. One had 2 cracked ribs. 2 smashed.
One protester lost her life. She was shot in the face. She died. She was unarmed. She wasn't even doing anything wrong. She was let into the Capitol. She was led by cops with flags and signs. And she was shot in the face.
Right.
She was the only casualty. The single casualty.
Okay.
The one.
But they're alleging a lot of physical altercations.
Well, they alleged that multiple cops were killed.
That's not what I'm talking about.
That's not true.
I'm specifically talking
They
about.
alleged that multiple cops were. I mean, here's the thing. Oh God, I hate using "here's the thing." But
Here's the thing!
Here's the thing. When they say so many cops were killed, and they lie,
Mm-hmm.
and then they change the story, well, so many cops were assaulted, do you assume they're telling the truth?
No, not anymore.
Okay, there we are.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. Let's see what they say.
Spinal disc. Another had a stroke. Were the people who assaulted those 140 officers, including those that...
If you have a stroke multiple days after an incident,
Then it's probably not related.
well, okay, can you have a stroke based on an incident? Is that how strokes work?
I'm not
Do
a...
you have a stroke because somebody upset you? That's not how strokes work.
No, that's not.
Anybody who knows even just the teeny tiniest bit about medicine knows that strokes occur because you have a blood clot. Okay? And that blood clot makes its way up to your brain.
Right.
That blood clot making its way up to your brain has absolutely, positively nothing to do with your emotions. It can be related to you taking a flight, for instance. That's why folks who have issues with swelling in their legs,
Mm-hmm.
you might have a deep vein, what is that called? Deep thrombosis.
Thrombosis, yeah.
The thing with
Mm-hmm.
blood clots deep in your... Okay. That has nothing to do with you being upset because somebody was let into a building who didn't want them to be let into. Days later.
I don't think it had anything to do with January 6th. It was just he was in
know
bad health.
It had nothing to
Okay.
do. Okay?
Okay.
Anybody with a brain knows that. They're making this crap up.
just mentioned patriots who deserve pardons?
Yeah,
well, let
they
me
do.
bring it back to modern day. Like about 5 days ago, we had an attack on the Capitol. Horrible attack on the Capitol. You saw the people that were protesting and spraying these incredible...
That actually was good.
Mm-hmm. Good counter.
And they're going to dismiss it. But that was a good callback. These people defaced the Capitol
Mm-hmm.
and have received zero pushback. Nobody's been charged.
Right.
They tried to...
But if you're walking down the block chewing gum on January 6th,
yeah.
you got pulled over.
If you made a phone call from another state on January 6th, you're serving jail time. I am not making that up.
No, it's true.
That
That's
actually
documented.
happened.
Yeah, I remember that.
It actually is still happening.
Monuments, bells, lions, all these magnificent limestone and granite with red paint, red spray paint that will never actually come off, especially in the limestone. It will never, I'm a builder, I know about this stuff. It'll never, you'll
And
see
he
it
does.
100 years from
Oh.
now. They viciously attacked our
Did
government.
you
I like
hear
the aside.
laughter?
I'm a builder.
I'm a builder. I know this. They laughed. I wish he would stop doing the accordion hands, but I can kind of understand because he's confined.
Yeah.
That's kind of where he is right now. So
From it, they fought with police. They fought with them much more openly than
Meaner,
I saw on
meaner.
January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed
But sir, my
that
question
city?
is on
What's
those.
going to happen to
My
the
question
people
is
that
on
tried
those
to burn
rioters
down-
who assaulted
Excuse me.
officers.
You have to
Would
answer.
you pardon
What's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You
If
would
they're
pardon
innocent,
those-
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court.
they've been convicted.
So what?
Well, lots of people have been convicted, and lots of people who should have been convicted weren't.
Right.
They've been convicted. They've been convicted. That means nothing, honey. That means nothing.
Just under. Well, they.
What was he What were they laughing about?
They've been convicted. They've been convicted. You can back it up a bit.
were
Yeah.
convicted by a very
Okay.
modern day, like about 5 days ago. We had an attack on the Capitol, a horrible attack on the Capitol.
They
You
backed
saw
it
the
up too
people
far.
that were protesting and much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed
But sir, my
that
question
city?
is on
What's
those.
going to happen to
My
the
question
people
is
that
on
tried
those
to burn down-
rioters who assaulted
Excuse me.
officers.
You have to
Would
answer.
you pardon
What's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You
If
would
they're
pardon
innocent,
those-
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just under. Well, they were convicted by a very tough system. They were. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis? How come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle? How come nothing happened to them? How come the
But
people
sir, we're
that,
talking about
how
people
come
that
the
were
people-
seen
no,
beating
We're
officers
talking
with
about federal
flagpoles,
buildings.
dragging them down the stairs. They're on
They-
video. Have you seen that
Really?
video,
Oh,
sir?
really? Well, they
you would
shot-
pardon those. You would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face
Mm-hmm.
who was protesting. They shot her in the face. You
Yep.
know, nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle.
Other than
Nobody
her.
died, but people died in
140
Minneapolis.
officers
You know,
were
people died in
assaulted that
Minneapolis.
day.
And nothing happens, and nobody ever talks, and nothing happens to those people. But you went after...
Officers were assaulted that day. Yeah, honey, but nobody else died except for that one woman. And he misspoke there
Mm-hmm.
because nobody else died except for that one woman.
Yeah.
And he misspoke there. I know he meant
Right.
to include her, but he misspoke there. The thing is, the officers, me. Yeah. Nobody else died that day except for her.
the J6 people with a vengeance. And I'll tell you what about the cops that were, and I'm all for the police, as you know, but what about the police that are ushering everybody into the Capitol? Go in. What about that? Look,
No one was
nothing is perfect.
Here's the crazy thing. Republicans, and I'm not a Republican, but Republicans are the party of law and order,
Supposedly.
supposedly. So, why would they be against the Capitol Police? Unless the Capitol Police are against them.
Good point.
Just putting it out there.
Good point.
In life. But you have people from Minneapolis, you have people just from 5 days ago in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
They were having fist fights and fighting with the police.
Yep.
They were spraying and destroying, they were desecrating our monuments in Washington, D.C. 5 days ago, and nothing happened to them.
Not a thing.
And you can't
None
have
of
two
them.
systems of justice. That's why they went after me as a political opponent, because they felt they couldn't win without doing that. And we're going to win our cases and we're going to be vindicated. But I have to spend a lot of time on that and money. That's what they want. After the election, they won't care. Although in my case, I think they probably will, because the hatred is pretty deep. But I'll tell you, they went after me as a political
honest.
opponent. That's never happened in our country before. And it sets a terrible, terrible precedent.
What do you do on day one if you win? What's your first thing?
What do? I close the border. And I do two things, because I can do a lot of things simultaneously.
That's actually a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
And a good answer.
Mm-hmm.
Close the border. Good question, though.
Yeah, it is.
Close the border. We don't want people coming in. We want people to come in, Harris, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. They have to come in legally. We want
Legal,
people. I want
yeah.
people to come into our country. but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. So when you say, what do I do? That, and I drill, baby, drill. I bring energy way down.
Woo!
I bring interest rates down. I bring inflation way down so people can buy bacon again. So people can buy a ham sandwich again. So that people can go to a restaurant and afford it. Because right now, people can't buy food. Your grocery bills are up 40, 50, 60%.
Yep.
Right? She's agreeing to me.
Our wages are not.
Agreeing. Thank you. I like
Our wages are not.
I think we are.
But it's true. Your grocery bills are up.
Yep.
And then they're mandating that you buy an all-electric car. You know, Elon Musk endorsed me, and he's a friend of mine. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. But I'm against everybody having an electric car. Okay? I'm very much against that. You have to be able to, if you want a hybrid or if you want a gasoline-propelled car. But, you know, we have more liquid gold, gasoline, oil, under our feet than any other country. More than Saudi Arabia. More than Russia, more than any other country.
Yep.
I want to use it. I want to use
We should not be importing that at all.
I want to bring down prices, bring down costs, and I also have to stop the invasion. And remember, they're taking your jobs. These people coming in.
Amen.
Project 2025.
I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team.
All right.
So leave it. That is the last word.
Project 2025. Honey.
We're done with that.
Literally has
The world is done with 20. Only the desperate screamers on Facebook are still bringing up Project 2025.
That has nothing to do with him. Okay. So they end this because whatever.
Yeah.
The real reason is because he had an hour.
Mm-hmm.
He had multiple places he needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, like, Project 25. No, honey.
If you guys had all you had your stuff together when we should have started, then I could have answered that.
Right.
But I've already answered it anyway. You can look it up.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. And then all other versions of this ended here. He walks off to...
Oh, man. That's not what happened.
That's not what actually happened.
Let's see what happened.
Let's see what actually happened.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Mr. Trump, for coming today and joining us.
Well, thank you very much.
They've been telling us.
They wanted to hear about Project 2025.
Right.
They wanted to hear about it.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, very much. Great honor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And he was actually amused by their applause.
Did that sound like an audience that was against him?
No, not at all.
Me either.
I mean, there are people in the audience who hate his guts, but... but
obviously.
Yeah.
But did that sound like an overall audience that hated him?
Today we'll email about details regarding the conversation with Vice President Kamala Harris in September. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And they covered it up with uber loud music.
Right.
And I have gone all over the internet trying to find anything. And that is what they did to cover that up. Uber loud music. But as you can see...
He had supporters in the audience.
Yeah.
And I think he might have even won a few people over.
Other than blue pantsuit lady.
The other two were respectful and asked the great questions.
So I have, like I said, I have gone all over the internet, and I have tried to, honest to God, I have tried to find anything, anywhere. And that's all I get is applause, laughter. That's all I get.
Yeah.
And, okay.
I mean, there were a few people shouting things at him.
Yeah,
but,
well, of course there are.
But
of course there are.
Generally speaking, I think he handled himself pretty well. I mean, there were some questions he didn't answer as well as he could have, like you said. But overall, Kamala needed to have been there. Not at the same time necessarily,
the meltdown, the temper tantrum that
No.
they're trying to report? I'm not
Didn't
seeing
see
that.
it. No, he walked out like a boss. He walked away like a boss.
Yeah, I felt like he walked in like a boss, he walked out like a boss. That's how I felt.
Mm.
I did not see the temper tantrum meltdown that they're trying to report at all. That's not what I'm seeing.
CounterCultureWISE is proud to present News of the Weird and Wonderful. Here are your hosts, Melanie Hope and Jim Monis.
Hello, my favorite part of the show. Hey, I made that rhyme.
Indeed. Just the way you said it. So,
Okay, we got a couple of fun ones today.
yeah. So, you like eggplant, right?
I love eggplant.
I love
It's
eggplant.
good for you.
It tastes yummy.
I make a mean eggplant parmesan, and I also make a good, lasagna.
Yeah, the eggplant lasagna she makes is out of this world. And I think we'd be able to make several plates of it with this.
Oh.
This is from Iowa. A gentleman harvested an eggplant weighing 8.33 pounds.
That is a big eggplant.
I mean, it looks like it's pumpkin sized.
Yeah, it looks like a pumpkin.
Yeah, and shaped too, as a matter of fact.
Well, it certainly doesn't fit the bill of the emoji anymore. That is
no.
Man, his porch is pretty. I love that pole.
It is a nice
I coveted
house.
his porch.
So this was inspected by the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship's Iowa's Weights and Measures Bureau.
Who grabs a fruit or a vegetable out of their garden and saying, I think I'm going to contact the state, see, if this is a record.
Well, if it
breaker.
came out that gigantic, I probably would. I mean,
he actually broke a world record.
Wow.
So he's another Guinness guy.
Yeah, the previous one, I guess, was 7.21 pounds.
Whoa, he beat the snot out of that.
That's amazing. I mean, usually an eggplant's usually not more than
I probably wouldn't even say
maybe a pound, maybe 3/4 of a pound, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have an
I wonder if
eggplant
he's
in front of
gonna
me
eat
here.
it, or shellac it, or what is he going to do with it?
Well, he does say he's going to have a plaque saying he had the largest
Because I've seen
eggplant.
those pumpkins. I mean, they can get up to thousands of pounds.
Right. Well, I mean, what good would be putting it in a display case? I say slice it up and let's have some Parmigiana. No, I'm not kidding. I mean, it's not going to...
Mod Podge it and it just stays that way forever.
Well, I guess you could probably do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, I'd cook it. I'd cook it.
All right. This, just the headline of this next one is just funny as can be. Now, people, I've known people who collect all kinds of oddball stuff. Coca-Cola memorabilia, like ads and glasses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or cartoon memorabilia, or
Which you would do if I let you.
yeah, I'd have a whole room for it. But this
your
one
LPs and the...
but yeah, the LPs.
This one's a little different.
Very. Never thought to collect these.
Of course, she's a Brit.
Yeah.
A new market pensioner with a unique collection of 160 bedpans is looking for a new home. She wants to sell her bedpan. Okay, Mary Jacobs, she's 77. She's not a bad-looking 77.
No, she's all right.
She hoped to find a buyer for them at an auction in Lincolnshire. Lincolnshire? Now we know how many holes it takes to fill the Albert Hall.
That's just Lincolnshire.
Yeah. But no bidders. Aw, nobody wanted her bedpans.
I swear they're clean. I've washed them,
She started her collection in 1984. Oh, there's so many jokes that just write themselves. I used to help out at the jumble sales in the Newmarket Salvation Army Hall, she said. I saw a slipper bedpan come in and I bought it for 50p. And that was the start. I just wanted to collect something different. Well, you
qualified as different.
Yeah. You instead of selling them, you should open a museum.
The British Museum of Bedpans?
The BMBP, it'll go violent. Who wouldn't? And the best part is
there a restroom in here? Well, no, but.
No, but. I was going to say she could rent she could rent just a part of the Smithsonian, like in the basement, and so
Right.
that you have to go into the bowels of the Smithsonian in order to visit the bedpans.
Oh, heavens.
Actually, that would be funny to just put a big sign up that says no public restroom. Bedpans everywhere, but there's no public restroom.
Oh, it's a bridesmaid. No.
She said it snowballed from there, and I found myself going around so many places to add to my collection. I catalog and label each bedpan so I know where I bought it from and how much it costs. Most people think they all look the same, but in fact they are different sizes, colors, and shapes. They vary a lot. I like the one that says perfection on it. That's
I
hilarious.
love the Royal Seal logo underneath it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Very, very,
Very British.
She does not have a favorite, although she admitted to having a fondness for one with a blue and white pattern. But she said the rarest ones were those with the oddest shapes. But Mary, who was paid up to £18 for her gazunders, has decided enough is enough. I had a cupboard built to store them in my front bedroom, but I'm getting older and need to clear some space. I hope they go to a good home. They're clean, washed, and in fantastic condition. I would like to see the whole collection. I actually
They
would.
make it for an interesting video. I wonder if there is one on Facebook or something.
Well, I'll have to go see if we can find it offline. But yeah, if there is, we'll share that, and maybe we'll bid for it. We can have the old CounterCultureWISE bedpan museum. Have to pay for shipping. Imagine customs going through what in the.
Yeah, I have a feeling a lot of those are ceramic, right? So yeah, the answer is no.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would assume that the older, more historical ones would be ceramic, but nowadays they're just plastic. And they look the same.
Right.
But yeah,
The ceramic one that says perfection, that's the one I would want.
That's
That's just...
in Liverpool even.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Okay, let's head on into a segment that I'm just going to call Stupid Crooks.
Yeah.
Oh, now see, that's why we can't have nice things. This next one is a doozy.
Yeah. He looks like an evil scientist, but he's not that smart.
No, like
I'd
I said.
just like to call my Maine man because he's from Maine. Okay.
That is one heck of a shiny dome he's
That
got
is,
going on.
and I've got a shiny dome.
All
This
right,
guy's
so he
gotta
wore a
be-
black winter hat, sunglasses, and a black mask covering his face to do what?
Rob a bank.
How?
Let's find out. According to court records, 41-year-old Jason Arsenault pulled up to the drive-thru of the Key Bank on Gorham Road on South Portland on January 26th while wearing a black winter hat, sunglasses, and a black mask covering his face.
Okay, so he's in a car.
He's in a car.
With license plates.
With license plates.
At the drive-thru.
At the drive-thru, using the pneumatic tubes to send an,
Put him up!
Put him up. He issued a bomb threat in order to try and get them to, of course.
Car bomb! No cop alarms or we all die. $50,000 in 20s! Do you think any bank on the planet has $50,000 in 20s just sitting around?
Well, the teller complied.
No way!
Sending money through the pneumatic tube, which Arsenal took before driving away.
How would $50,000 in 20s fit in a pneumatic?
I'm pretty sure they weren't doing it all 50,000. They were doing it as much as they could stuff into the pneumatic tube at a time.
But they actually sent it?
I don't know how much he actually did go away with, but he did
Why
take...
didn't they just say, oh, sir, hold on just a second. That's going to take me a long time to count, police. Hello?
Yeah. The South Portland, Maine, and Portland police departments assisted the FBI in their investigation. Detectives used surveillance cameras to track the vehicle's movements, and they found him. Captured surveillance image of him without his mask on.
He's at a bank where he's on camera.
6 days after the robbery, he was arrested.
With a car with the license
blah, blah.
plate. 6 days? It took him 6 days?
They had to borrow some from Uvalde. I don't know. I have no idea. He faces up to 20 years in prison and fined for $250,000.
I still can't believe they actually sent the money. I'm blown away by that because...
well, because they don't know. Maybe he was serious. Maybe he did have a bomb and he could take the bank out. You don't really know.
I'm pretty sure that somebody...
But it wasn't...
fact that he was driving a car with a license plate.
And why do I have this feeling it's like a 79 Cutlass or something, just some totally
Dodge Dart
or some god awful thing.
It's like
it doesn't say what.
No, this guy's so dumb. He was probably driving like a grape purple Cadillac with fins. Like, oh, they'll never recognize me.
Or an AMC Pacer with a hanger for an antenna.
Looks like a Teletubby.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
He looks like a Teletubby type.
All right. Well, believe it or not, another dumb quick. Now, this one I'm a little jealous of because we shop at this particular store quite often, and
that's true.
We've never gotten a present like this.
I know. That's because we got our bass guitar amp at Sam Ash instead.
That
I think
is true.
that rather than in
Vegas.
Now that Sam Ash is no longer with us,
that's sad.
Just leaves Guitar Center. Plus, by the way,
you get the catalogs. I call it Guitaria's Secret.
Guitaria's Secret, from American Music Supply. Yeah,
he drools over.
If I had my way, I'd have 47 cameras and 50 guitars. I just would.
And he doesn't know how to play them.
I don't. Who knows how? Who don't have to know how to play them?
Like at all.
This is hilarious, though. Can you imagine? We'll talk about. We'll go. So. This happened in Gwinnett County, Georgia, which is out near Atlanta. And
And apparently it's not a one-off. Apparently this has happened all over the place.
Look out for a guy who's responsible for hiding thousands of dollars worth of drugs inside a guitar amplifier and shipping it to a local business. So, I don't know. The employees who were handling what appeared to be a standard box got suspicious. The box had an out-of-state shipping address was returned to Guitar Center. This is return addresses in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Employees opened the box, found coke and meth stuffed inside the amp. It's extremely rare this happens in any business, said Sergeant Colin Flynn of the Gwinnett County Police. You think, buddy? They think it's part of a larger problem involving the shipping of drugs to U.S. mail, and investigators think drug dealers have attempted this method before.
So what do? They go looking for the amp in the store somewhere?
I have no idea.
How did they recover it?
I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, there would have to be somebody working at the store.
Police don't think anyone at the business was involved in shipping the drugs. Well, what? I mean, I started thinking of a comedy sketch or a short film based on something like this where, some schmo is working at a guitar store and just, finds all these drugs and decides to keep them for himself, and then, the people who are a guy walks in and buys an amp. And, we have there's one extra here and back here, you can have it. And then turns out there's all kinds of drugs in the amp. He decides to keep it, and, whoever's responsible for actually moving the drugs gets ticked off and tries to follow them and hurt them.
It sounds more like a novel than a sketch.
No, there you go. Time to get the typewriter lubricated.
Time to get the Luddite. Get the old.
No, I need to get my typewriter fixed or replaced. I'm thinking replaced. It got damaged in the move.
Everything.
It got banged up real bad, and that's why when you buy, let's say you buy a used typewriter that's refurbished or whatever on eBay. Well, they charge more for shipping than they do for the typewriter because it has to be shipped very carefully. You can't just, and these guys just tossing stuff everywhere. So my beloved typewriter that my wife so lovingly bought for me is damaged to the point where it would take about $200 just to fix the thing.
And it only cost me $35.
So there it
Forget
is.
it. That's too bad. That was a nice old typewriter.
I mean, I still have it. It's barely functioning.
Barely functioning.
Barely functioning. Just like me. All right.
Okay, next up is another incredibly dumb.
This is
I almost wasn't
Florida
gonna tell
Man
this,
level.
Yeah, I almost wasn't going to tell the story, but it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. I cannot believe. Okay, so this guy is riding a motorcycle with a pit bull in his lap. And that's not enough. He runs a red light, doesn't use his signal, and he's speeding. But that's not enough.
It's not?
No.
Tell me more.
So he had meth in his sock. He didn't have a license plate.
He also
He
had
had
weed,
marijuana, paraphernalia,
paraphernalia.
and active warrants. It's like, dude, if you have active warrants and drugs on you, yet don't put a pit bull in your lap and drive crazy on a motorcycle.
Well, he was
Or
determined
maybe
to be
you do.
He was under the influence of drugs. www.youthink.com.
Yeah, a little bit. But luckily, happy ending. The pit bull turned out to be very friendly, and it says the dog willingly took a ride in a patrol
Get
car
me away
where it
from
was
this guy.
released to
Get
a
me away from this guy.
responsible
Get me away from
party.
this guy. Woof, 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 whimper, whimper. Get away from this guy. Yeah.
I just, honest to God, how many... Him and Pneumatic Tube Guy need to get together, because it sounds like...
Pneumatic tube guy.
They'd be like the opposite of the evil villain, what was that, Hall of Doom or whatever?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right.
From the DC cartoon, yeah, I can't remember.
And this one isn't a dumb crud so much as just... Well, let's head on into the new abnormal, shall we?
We shall. Let's do it.
All right, so this Chinese woman is arrested for smuggling turtles, and it's not what you think, because that sounds like a euphemism for something that, Eric Swalwell would be doing with a Chinese woman.
Oh. And it wasn't like the chocolate-covered turtles either, was it?
No, it was actual pulled them out of the lake in Vermont turtles. And she's trying to smuggle them into Canada so she can get them to China, where apparently they are, of course, an aphrodisiac. Because apparently in China, every bit of every animal in some way is an aphrodisiac.
And every plant is an aphrodisiac.
No wonder they have so many people. All right, so yeah, she's been
But then
arrested.
they're sucking on bats, so what do we know?
She was arrested at a lake bordering Quebec for trying to smuggle 29 eastern box turtles, a protected species, into Canada by kayak.
Those are cute little turtles, too.
But, hey, at least she wasn't trying to send them over using pneumatic tubes. So I think kayak lady, pneumatic tube guy, and pitbull motorcycle dude, they need to introduce each other, maybe in prison. Because I'm telling you, we have like this new... Seriously, this is like a cartoon.
Why am I stuck in this tube, Mr. Rabbit?
Anyways, her name was Wan Ying. Arrested. So she was arrested June 28th, but for some reason this article was just posted. Staying at an Airbnb. She was about to get... Oh, not just any kayak, though. It was an inflatable kayak. The turtles were in a duffel bag. And the Royal Canadian Mounted Police... I'm sorry.
They called Dudley Do-Right?
They literally called Dudley Do-Right on a Chinese lady smuggling turtles in an inflatable... You can't make this stuff up! You can't make this stuff up. So, yep, they searched her heavy duffel bag, found 29 live Eastern box turtles individually wrapped in
So the
socks.
turtles individually wrapped, just like the candy ones.
In socks.
In socks.
In socks.
Hopefully clean socks.
These poor turtles. So apparently they are sold in the Chinese black market for approximately $1,000 each. So that was 48 grand she had.
So you said it was an aphrodisiac. Where does it say that in this article?
I looked it up offline because I'm like, why would they want to buy? Why would they pay $1,000 for a box turtle from Vermont? Yeah. So yeah.
Alrighty then.
Inflatable raft. Turtles in socks. Seriously, I don't even have to write any jokes.
It writes itself.
It writes itself. Writes itself. Okie dokie.
And let's go to my old stomping grounds of Actually, I'm not. I've never been to Cajon Valley.
Of course, it's California, though.
It's in San Diego.
This is such a California thing.
So, from May 2022 to the beginning of March of this year, Cajon Valley Union
Cojones.
Yeah, he's got some cojones. Cajon Valley Union Superintendent David Miyashiro averaged $19,000 in purchases on his district-issued credit card.
Okay, I'm not even sure I understand why a superintendent of a school needs a credit card at all.
Well, we'll find out maybe a bit more. I'm not sure. In all, according to credit card statements obtained by CBS 8 through a state records request, he racked up nearly $399,821 on his district credit card during that time.
How does it even have that kind of a limit? Well, every company I've ever worked for that I had a credit card for, it had a limit.
Yeah, a real limit, like
$1,000.
Yeah,
tops,
just to cover
and to cover
administrative expenses. If
gas,
if it's something
stamps,
where you have to take clients to lunch or something, yeah,
right.
that's,
and then I had to fill out an expense report,
right,
and justify it.
Okay, school board member Anthony Carnaval said he's been left in the dark about the spending and how the. Okay, by the way. Includes thousands of dollars for professional conferences and memberships in education associations, as well as tens of thousands on private tours, airfare, hotels, fine dining, and catering. So, what this has to do with education in a district that is desperately in need of funds is really beyond me. His credit card pulls from public dollars as part of the district's $300 million budget to serve its 18,000 students. Board member Anthony Carnaval said he's been left in the dark about the spending, how the trips, hotels, meals, and private tours benefit the students and taxpayers.
Right.
I've tried to find...
it's not like he's in a position where he needs to schmooze or fundraise. I mean,
sure.
He's acting like a politician.
I try to find comparable spending from other superintendents. I can't. It's just astronomical, he said. Even San Diego Unified, which has $1 billion budget versus our $300 million, I don't see their superintendents spending like this. Meanwhile, we have classrooms with needs going unmet. He pointed to data that shows that 43% of students did not meet standards for English language arts in the 2022-23 school year.
And I can vouch for that. My California students that are in the public school system.
Yeah, the worst.
Absolutely so far behind. And it's really funny because it's not the students, it's the teachers. Because these kids, I can spend 5 minutes with them, and they're like, wow, I learned more from you today than I did from my teacher all year. Mm-hmm. And I heard that over and over again during the pandemic.
And she's not saying this to brag. It's about the state of the education there.
They don't, I mean, I got to kind of see how the sausage was made during the COVID lockdowns because everything was online, and you could see how the teachers were interacting and the types of posts they had and the assignments and how lazy most of these teachers were. Not all, hashtag not all, but I mean, they have nothing going on, nothing at all. They're at home getting paid, and they couldn't even be bothered to grade the kids' work.
Right. Or
bothered to learn how to use the programs that they were on. And some teachers were fantastic. I mean, they were on it. They used every possible resource. They engaged kids. They did Zoom calls. Other teachers were so lazy. They're just like, they would take photocopies of a book and the questions, especially the English and some of the writing they had to do was so stupid. Stupid.
No, I'm not going to go into all the details, but this district's K through 8 student population is among the most socioeconomically disadvantaged in the county.
Well,
nearly three-quarters of the students qualified for free and reduced price meals.
Yeah, I'm
you got to be broke.
He's getting.
You got to be broke to get that.
And he's getting luxury meals and hotels and everything, and that is kind of a theme that we have going on. All of these, like BLM and all of these, supposedly liberal, helping people out, they're all corrupt. Mm-hmm. And these people are living lavish lifestyles. In fact, I think our next story is similar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar.
So this is, move this over so you're not looking at all the crazy ads and whatnot. The CEO of GLAAD. So that's the gay and lesbian something don't care. lavish spending habits that include a Swiss chalet rental and renovation of her home office.
Because, well,
all at the expense of the non-profit organization, which relies heavily on donations to stay afloat. So just like BLM, they always have somebody in charge.
Yeah.
Who is? We need to start our own thing. We need a thing.
I need to be a superintendent of a gay rights organization. That's what I need to be.
Nose Pickers Anonymous or something.
Yeah.
Let's just pick something.
Yeah, so to speak.
And start getting. Problem is, you're an old white guy, so ain't nobody gonna care about what happens to you.
That's okay. We'll just get a few other old white guys, maybe some with guns. And
we'll
some
make
with
it the
money
old white guy alliance, and say, start sending money. We're the old white guy alliance. Jeez Louise.
The League of Extraordinary White Mofos. Anyway.
We'll just say we're so poor that we have to, the cartoons back in the days, if like the guy was so poor he couldn't afford clothes, he'd wear a barrel.
Right.
It'd be a Cracker Barrel.
And that's where we'll have our meetings.
The Cracker Barrel, there you go.
Because I like eggs and bacon.
Collard greens, yum yum.
Yum yum.
Yeah. Ooh, I want grits for dinner. Let's go. So, GLAAD CEO Sarah Kate Ellis, of course she has 3 names, of New York Times investigation published Thursday looking into her spending, with sources telling the newspaper that Ellis's profligate habits look more aligned with for-profit companies rather than a non-profit organization.
Uh-huh.
Some of the receipts could be in violation of IRS rules. Ya think?
Yathink.com.
For years, GLAAD has been a favorite charity of Hollywood elites and studios.
Of course it has.
Which have showered the organization with
I
money
used
and
to support
showbiz
them
prestige.
back in the day.
Yeah.
A billion years ago.
Celebrities frequently appear at GLAAD fundraising events, as do studio and talent agency exec. Well, what do they actually do, though?
They advocate for the rights of gays. And,
okay, but they have the same rights. So what do they actually do now?
They fight for representation in the media. They seem to be doing a fantastic job.
They were kind of
Yeah, they've overdone it to the point where they're not needed anymore. So these guys are like...
Yeah, I mean, the ACLU and all of these things, it's like, what are you doing? You got all the same rights. Nobody can discriminate against you, so why do these organizations even exist anymore?
Don't know.
Earlier this year, GLAAD pressured Hollywood studios to create more transgender characters for TV. I put the S in there because apparently the editor couldn't be bothered to read their own work as part of the organization's wholesale shift toward prioritizing transgender issues over gay issues. See? The mentally ill have taken over every organization and the government.
And this lady is
instead
profiting
of
from it.
treating the mentally ill, we are now celebrating
treating
them.
themselves off of the mentally ill.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing.
The Times report threatens to upend GLAAD's status among those elites. It's already unleashed a war of words between the Times and GLAAD. GLAAD has accused the Times of running the hit piece in retaliation against GLAAD's vocal criticism of the newspaper's series of articles questioning the safety of transgender medical procedures for children. Meanwhile, the Times has stated it stands by its reporting.
For once, I'm with the old gray lady. This is
for once.
Yeah.
So GLAAD on their Twitter account yesterday, New York Times published yet another biased anti-trans article. This morning, we're at the New York holding them accountable. If you even point out the fact that you want them to leave children alone, that's anti-trans. There is no such thing. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen, and I will take any shade and anybody who wants to come at me. There is no such thing as a trans child. You are just a sick pedo. Leave children alone. I'm not going to read the rest, but you get the idea.
That's all you need to read.
That's all we need to know.
So there's all kinds of people making money off of the backs of off the bucks of well-meaning people.
Off the backs and off the bucks.
Hmm.
Well, speaking of off the backs and off the bucks,
what we got?
Well, let's talk about the Olympics a little bit.
Are you saying we?
Since we are talking about the trans,
yes.
The Transis's?
We're going to bring back an oldie but moldy from 3 years ago. I guess we were more prescient than we thought.
We, there's another one that we called as well.
Uh-huh.
And when I was looking through our old
Archive?
catalog, when we were talking about how we're never going to get the mask off, and they kept doing all the shutdowns and everything.
Right.
When we still lived in Vegas. And we actually animated Max reading all the new variants.
Yeah.
And we nailed that one because they're still coming out with variants to this day.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Fortunately, the public's not buying it like they were before.
One of the just throwaway lines was that President for Life Kamala Harris. And that was just a throwaway line. And I'm watching that, I'm like, oh no. We called that too.
Oh.
But yeah, this is a moldy oldie, but let's play our fancy new stinger, shall we?
Yes.
And now, CounterCultureWISE is proud to present Called It!
And now with a CCW Sports Update, here's Monica Taffler.
Thank you, Larry. I am here at the Texas State High School Girls Wrestling Finals, where one athlete has been steadily making her way up the ranks and has been projected to become the next state champion. Let's meet Jessica Montez. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Monica.
Well, Jessica, you have made quite a splash here in the wake of President Biden's order allowing transgender girls the right to compete without discrimination. Congratulations!
Well, thank you. It's a new day for girls like me, that's for sure.
Speaking of girls like you, Jessica, you have been criticized by many people in the community, teens and adults alike, as not a real girl, but a boy taking advantage of the new rules to gain competitive advantage and to feed your ego.
Nothing more than professional jealousy, Monica.
Well, that may be. But last year, when you were a male wrestler calling yourself Jessie Montez, you were dead last on your team and were cut out from participating on that team this year due to low expectations.
Well, that coach made a big mistake. But either way, I am a girl, always have been. And this is where I belong now.
But you still have a voice. Well, you know.
I know what?
Oh, I mean, no offense, but it's protruding. You haven't got rid... Oh, let's change the subject.
Good idea.
Did you have anything you wanted to say to your most recent opponent, Fiona Jerkins?
Fiona, you were a fierce competitor and the best athlete I've ever met. It was an honor to square off against you, and you will be missed. Rest in peace, Fiona.
For CCW Sports, this is Monica Taffler. Back to you, Larry.
It's been a while since we've been able to do that.
Oy.
Okay, so let's talk about the Olympics and what's going on there with the... Well, I just kind of made a hodgepodge of our... At the time, we were only audio, so I've never animated this or anything.
Right.
But I thought it would be a good backdrop for a particular event that took place at the
in Paris
at
a
the
few
Olympics.
days ago.
Yeah. So here you go.
And now with a CCW Sports Update, here's Monica Taffler.
Thank you, Larry. I am here at the Texas State High School Girls Wrestling Finals, where one athlete has been steadily making her way up the ranks and has been projected to become the next state champion. Let's meet Jessica Montez. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Monica.
Well, Jessica, you have made quite a splash here in the wake of President Biden's order allowing transgender girls the right to compete without discrimination. Congratulations!
Well, thank you. It's a new day for girls like me, that's for sure.
Speaking of girls like you, Jessica, you have been criticized by many people in the community, teens and adults alike, as not a real girl, but a boy taking advantage of the new rules to gain competitive advantage and to feed your ego.
Nothing more than professional jealousy, Monica.
Well, that may be. But last year, when you were a male wrestler calling yourself Jesse Montez, you were dead last on your team and were cut out from participating on that team this year due to low expectations.
Well, that coach made a big mistake. But either way, I am a girl, always have been. And this is where I belong now.
But you still have a voice. Well, you know.
I know what?
Oh, I mean, no offense, but it's protruding. You haven't got rid... Oh, let's change the subject.
Good idea.
Did you have anything you wanted to say to your most recent opponent, Fiona Jerkins?
Fiona, you were a fierce competitor and the best athlete I've ever met. It was an honor to square off against you, and you will be missed. Rest in peace, Fiona.
For CCW Sports, this is Monica Taffler. Back to you, Larry.
Laugh or cry at this stuff.
I
mean, seriously.
I don't know which direction to go, I'll be honest. That's a man. And there's a lot of debate. And, this, that, and the other. That is a flat-chested, ball-carrying, Adam's apple-having man. And if he, she, it was born with both parts, or he, she, it, whatever, sad. I'm sorry. Life is tough. But here's what I don't understand about this whole wave of trans, and I'm using the big quotey fingers, trans athletes competing in women's sports. Why? Why do you have to have all the things? It used to be, we just want to live in peace, leave us alone. Now it's, I want to beat the living Christ out of a woman. I want to go to the women's bathroom. I want to mess around with children. I want to twerk in a dress in a library. Why? Why do you need all the things? Just keep it to yourself.
There's a time and a place for a lot of this. I mean, I have no issue against drag queens at all because if you are, I mean, with the condition that it's in maybe a nightclub with just adults, they're consenting adults, that's fine.
It is an art form.
Mm-hmm.
It is a sexualized art form. It is an adult art form. It needs to stay in adult places.
Right.
But you dressing up in, woman face, I mean, they're not passing. No woman dresses up like that. And, they're mocking women at that point. It started out, I mean, the whole Monty Python thing, it was a joke. They were making fun of women. That is what, that's what drag is, but not a lot of guys that did drag aren't necessarily trans.
Right.
Okay. This trans thing where we're actually mutilating children. We're sterilizing children. They're treating them like they're purse dogs in Hollywood. You're telling me that fewer than, 1% of between 1 and 3% of the entire Earth's population has this mental disorder. And it is a mental disorder, and they need help. They need help. And the fact that the suicide rate is so high is proof that it is a mental disorder. Don't blame it on society, because once they do transition, the suicide rate goes up. So accepting them and all of this stuff, that's not helping them. They have a mental illness. They need help. You are not a girl. You are not Napoleon. You are not a puppy dog. And I'm not going to play into your little pronoun game and play into your mental illness. I won't do it. I'm not going to be mean to you. Right. I do not hate you. I do not want you anywhere near my children or anybody's children. And I certainly don't want you stripping, twerking, taking dollar bills in your underwear from children in public places. It's repugnant. It's disgusting. And you've got to stop. You've got to stop. So I lived in a very tolerant world where if you were gay, we just didn't care. If you're a nice guy or gal, I have gay friends, got along, no problem, go out together, no big deal. And they were just normal people. But now they've taken it to this level where they're preying on children. They're shoving it down your face. They're walking around naked outside all the time. You took it too far. The slippery slope has been slid. And you're making people who did not hate you before, you're making them hate you. You're doing this to yourselves. Stop it. Stop. Just stop it. The whole month-long rainbow vomit thing, stop. Just stop it.
Vomit thing.
It's ridiculous.
It is kind of crazy. It's nuts.
But now women are literally being put in danger. That girl that, got was her arm broken or wrist broken by a basketball player who's a guy. The swimming guy that threw his Guinness World Record winning eggplant. He just walked around in the women's locker room, the swimming guy that, I can't remember his name now.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't care. Anyway, it's not normal, it's not natural, and it should not be legal. If you need all the things, start your own league. Women's sports exist for a reason. Women have less bone density, less muscles, less muscular. I'm looking for the word. I can't
muscular
think of it.
definition.
Whatever, I can't think of it. Anyways, men are bigger, stronger, faster, more powerful. Men abuse women because they can. And now they've just found a loophole that not only allows men to abuse women in a public space and get off on it, but they're celebrated for doing it. It's gross. And the problem is that women are not standing up for themselves. That woman that you saw just get beat down by that big dude didn't stand up for herself and even apologized. Even said that she hopes that he goes on to succeed. There's not going to be women's sports anymore. There's just not, because men have found a loophole and they are using it. And I think most of these guys aren't even trans. They're just like Leah Thomas. That's the swimmer.
Okay, Leah Thomas.
I don't think he's even really trans. I think he just wanted to win.
I don't know. I don't want to find out.
And, if you've still got all your bits and pieces down there, I mean, come on, dude. If you're telling us that you're trans, come on, dude, get it done. Get that hatchet scar down there that you have to, it's constantly trying to close and you have to dilate and, go through all. See, that's the thing. No matter how many hormones you take, no matter how much lipstick you put on, you are never going to be a woman. You're not. You're not. And they know that.
Yeah, that's true.
Deep down, they know that. And to have all these white, liberal, white wine drinking, Kamala voting women trying to say, oh, trans, this, that, and the other. Honey, first of all, you're not one of them. And second of all, stop white knighting the mentally ill. Just stop. Just stop. Okay. I'll probably get in a lot of trouble for pretty much everything I just said.
What kind of trouble that you haven't been in before?
Yeah, I've been canceled so many times. I'm uncancelable.
She's got her own syndication network now. She's been canceled so many times. She just runs it on her own network now.
I'm uncancelable. Cancelable. I'm sure there's a word there somewhere. Because I've been canceled so hard.
She know can be canceled.
I know can be canceled. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not. And that's the thing. Like I said, no hate. There is no hate in my heart for these people. They need help. And to celebrate their mental illness is not helping them. To celebrate somebody's illness is harming them. That is hate. That is hate. Trying to get them help and, not playing their little game, that's not hate. And it's just gotten so twisted. So twisted. Anyway, what do you say we end on a high note?
I like that idea.
I found this video on the old twatters, and
I'm gonna let you handle this one.
An Olympic event that let's just say that after what this guy went through, I think he can box some Italian women. Oh. And not only did that hurt,
it's hurting me to watch it, and she's playing it over and over again, too. And I have to relive it every single ow.
He now sings soprano.
Frankie, do not look at this.
He now sings, that's going to happen to you next month, Frankie. He now sings soprano for the Metropolitan Opera. He did not get a medal, though. My goodness, that is just...
Oh, just imagine training for literal years.
Literally years.
And that's your big moment.
How you go out.
And the whole, like the literal entire world is watching you do this. Oy.
I would think for an event like this, you'd wear a cup, but nope. Boing, 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 boing. Anyway, I just had to bring that in after my little tirade. So, sorry, dude. I hope you get another shot. If you can walk.
I hope he's able to.
Do you think he can walk?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure he's going to recover. I don't know if he's walking now. I think eventually he'll with some training and some physical therapy, he'll be able to do so. If you are listening audio only, you've got to go to our website and watch this video. The man pole vaults, and then his pole gets vaulted. And we're talking, he didn't just smack a sausage, he smacked the entire butcher's shop. Entire butcher shop, the whole package. I mean, I'm a woman and that's making me squirm, so I love how I have to actually say I'm a woman. Hello, I'm a woman. Anyways, I just thought you needed to see that. So, you're welcome. Here on CounterCultureWISE, we may rant, we may rave, but most of all, we go against the current culture because we believe, to the core of our beings, that humans are good and the world is an amazing and beautiful place. At the beginning of our show, we give you news of the weird and wonderful, but that is just the tip of the magnificent iceberg that is our world. We now present news of the wonderfuller. All right, we're still in the Olympics, but this is a good story coming out of the Olympics. Indeed.
And Jim picks these stories and then dances around the house saying, I found one that makes you cry. I found one that makes you cry. So,
neener.
Let's see if I cry. As a teenager growing up in Great Britain, Lola Anderson was inspired by the rowing events in the 2012 London Olympics. Moved by the athlete's strength and determination, she decided to take up the sport herself. I wonder if she's the one who sits up front and yells, "Stroke! Stroke me, stroke me." In her diary, oh, she's cute. Yes, in her diary, she expressed her dream of winning an Olympic gold medal in rowing. Embarrassed by her bold dream, Lola tore out the diary page and discarded it. I threw that away because I didn't believe, Anderson recalled. I was 14 at the time, so why would I believe? Young girls struggle to see themselves as strong, athletic individuals, but that's changing now. Despite her initial doubts, Anderson pursued rowing with her father's support. In 2019, as Don Anderson battled cancer, he presented Lola with a surprise. He unfurled his hand to reveal the page she had torn from her diary years earlier. Don had found it in the trash, kept it, believing she would need it one day. It's so sweet. Dang it. Dang it, Jim! Don passed away months later, but his faith in his daughter's dream remained. His prophetic gesture came to fruition on Wednesday when Anderson competed in her first Olympic Games as part of the women's quadruple sculls rowing team. Her team clinched the gold medal by a mere 0.15 seconds. That is a photo finish. Mm-hmm. After the race, Anderson reflected on her father's unwavering support. It's a piece of paper, but it's the most valuable thing I have, she said, maybe jointly with this medal now. Lola Anderson's journey from self-doubting teenager to an Olympic champion is a testament to the power of dreams and the enduring impact of a father's love. Okay, this was very well written.
Yeah, well written.
Very well written. What a sweet story. I wish he would have made it to see her win, but I'm sure he knows. Aww. That he retrieved that piece of paper and held on to it and believed in her so much that he held on to that.
That's a heck of a dad. That's one heck of a dad.
It's a heck of a dad. Well, I'm very sorry for your loss, sweetheart, but congratulations. Well, folks, we have come to the end of another CounterCultureWISE show. We're working on a little bit of tweaking here at the old studio, and that includes our social media, so we might be doing a full-out purge, mainly of our Twitter account, and starting fresh. So stay tuned to get little snippets here and there of fun, weird things that we find along the way. And then, of course, our show will talk about it. And let's see what else we call. I think we should start actually making predictions in the future. Anyways.
We have already a few of them. President Kamala. Hasn't happened yet.
President for life, Kamala.
President for life.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we don't get to vote anymore, so I know.
Yeah, well,
anyway,
I'll do it anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a true joy being with you today. Whatever you do this week, please go forth in kindness. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.
CounterCultureWISE is a Stormcat production.
Thank you for joining our growing family of listeners. All links from the show are available on our website, CounterCultureWISE.com. Find our archives on any of your favorite podcast hosts.
We engage in satire, commentary, and generally laugh at the ridiculousness of our crumbling society. Our only medical or financial advice is to not follow any financial and medical advice given by podcasters.
Our animations, interviews, Holy Crap segment, and other videos are put out on BitChute and Rumble, and only in part on YouTube because they hate free speech.
Our show is entirely funded by listeners like you. Visit our ever-expanding merch store or our Subscribe Star, where you can get outtakes, extra videos, and sneak peeks.
If you would like to be a guest on our program, feel free to contact us via our website. Just click on the link at the top that says, Be a Guest on Our Show.
For more fun and cat pics, please visit our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. For complaints about our show, please fill out the ID10T form on our website, and we will give it the attention it deserves.
Meanwhile, no matter how cruel the world may be around you, always remember the importance of kindness. Be kind to each other, be kind to animals, and be kind to yourself. See you next week.